Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. I am Callie's T-Tray, Mediocrity 4.
It's me, high-powered. I'm the wiring inside that manor that they were staying in Volume 5.
He turned me into a bird, Media! A bird!
A bird?
Well, I got better. I'm dude.
Monty Python reference. Because I too, like Volume 5, prefer to just be inside. I don't want to go outside. Or I just want to do my own thing. I'm Sox Caliber.
Yep, in this world, you're either a sucker for punishment or a punner for suckishment. And my puns really suck. I'm Coop.
So yes, Volume 5, the oft-lauded and controversial and despised volume within the RWBY canon. What the fuck happened here?
Oh my god.
The question is, what the fuck didn't happen?
Yeah. Well, nothing happened. That's
Yeah, a lot of things didn't happen, and a lot of things also did happen, and it was all wrong on both accounts.
I remember Volume 5 because I watched it in theaters like 2 weeks before the actual episode came out for general release.
Same. They played the first episode in theaters. Fucking audacity of these people to do that, by the way.
I had forgotten about that. I remembered it now, but
I spent a lot of money because I took two of the kids I was babysitting at the time.
It was honestly a good movie experience because I think it was the last 2 to 3 episodes of Volume 4, which was a real certified hood classic.
yeah, top tier. Yeah.
And it was the first episode of Volume 5. My gut is like maybe they showed a little bit of Volume 2 or like a teaser for it. I mean of the next episode, but
No.
it was a very good like viewing experience. Like I remember leaving the theater and DMing Media. I was like, yeah, this was I enjoyed the first episode, which to me that's the thing that I'm probably gonna catch flack for. I personally think that the first like 2 to 3 episodes of Volume 5 were awesome, and then it just totally slides off the rails afterwards.
Yeah, we'll let you sink yourself on that. That'll be fun to watch. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I definitely remember one of my favorite videos I put together is me and High Powered right after Volume 5 ended. We were just talking and I hit record on OBS. It was me, him, and Kitty Kirishima talking about like how the fuck would we try to fix or rewrite Volume 5. That was really fun video to put together. It was the first appearance of the High Powered chibi because Kitty was still in the process of making all of our chibis when we did that video.
Was that the one where I sent you the screenshots from the shitty
of the bootleg Fidget Smith? He came in my behind.
Oh, those are good times.
Memory lane.
Well, we start actually with something good.
Yeah, we had to start with the character shorts because apparently, and I don't know if this is true or if this was all just speculation, apparently they were originally planning to do 4 character shorts leading into RWBY Volume 4, and they didn't have time, so they ended up cutting that and only gave us the RWBY character short. But for whatever reason, they were like, you know what? We're already making 14 episodes instead of the usual 12 for Volume 5. Let's just lump more work onto our animators by making them finish the 3 character shorts and having to rewrite some of them to account for the fact that we are playing these in the lead up to Volume 5. And then they kind of fucked that up and ended up putting the Yang character short out, I think, either the same week or just a couple days before the official Volume 5 premiere. I remember because the theatrical release of the Volume 5 premiere that we went to and paid money to see happened before the Yang character short was out.
Also, that fucked them over for later down the line in Volume 5, but we'll get to that. But hey, on the plus side, the Weiss character short, really good. I liked it. This is the best Weiss has ever looked, in my opinion, because now they have the switch to Maya a little more down at this point, and her original outfit looks a lot better in Maya than it did in Poser, like a lot better. Not every outfit looks significantly better. Hers definitely does. So this one, I feel like she actually had the biggest upgrade for this outfit, like her original outfit, but in Maya. This is probably closer to how they wanted her to look. She looks incredible in this.
I still like Yang's outfit because it has that weird, like, blue-collar-y, like, Carhartt-looking vibe to it for Volume 5. And Weiss hasn't fully transformed yet into a Saber clone, but she's on her way with her new outfit.
Anything. She acts more like a fucking, not a Saber clone. She acts more like a goddamn Gilgamesh clone, where she just, like, summons shit and throws everything at people. Like,
I mean, like, looks-wise. Like, the look of Saber. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, like, the fighting fighting is done really well here. I noticed this with the previous volume too, with like the RWBY character short in volume 4. As good as some of the fighting is in volume 4, I feel like the fighting in the trailers, the character shorts, tends to be better than in the actual volume. That's definitely the case here. Like, there is no fight scene that looks anywhere remotely on the same planet as the fighting in the Weiss character short. It's crazy. And I like just the interaction with her and Winter. Like, it looks great. I like that she loses. I like that Winter says, I'm not always going to be around to save you, Weiss. She says, I'll get better. And then Winter says, you'll have to if you want to leave. Like, that's a good callback to things that have happened and are happening. So it fits her character well. It looks beautiful. It is choreographed well. So this one is really, really good. If you count this as part of Volume 5, this is by far the best part of Volume 5. I mean, it's probably too good to be classified with Volume 5, but spoiler, I have nothing that's, I think the highest rated episode I have is one that's an 8 out of 10. There's one episode in Volume 5 that's an 8 out of 10. Everything else is way lower, and I have some single digits, and I even have a negative rated episode.
You know what's funny is the fact that, like, this entire time you've been talking about these shorts, I've had to, if I was a visual, I would have the most confused expression on my face. Like, what are you all even talking about? What shorts are you all even talking about? But then you mentioned the, like, I won't always be here, that you'll have to be. It's like, oh, wait, yeah, they existed. I completely forgot. I'm like, what are you all talking about? Am I being gaslit? What's going on here?
No, unfortunately not. That would have been a funny bit, but Media and I actually watched them.
I just also want to say that Path to Isolation is one of my favorite RWBY songs. That is the backtrack for the Weiss character short. And yes, Weiss just has pathos. Okay, like, pathos is becoming like a really big thing for me, especially as I've been getting back into comics and remembering why I dropped comics so hard so long ago. Because, like, pathos is what makes the hero's journey interesting. It's the, like, goal, the driving force, the thing that they want to achieve, the world that they want to create. Weiss has genuine pathos, more so than the rest of the cast. That's one of the reasons why she's such an endearing character and why she's such a fan favorite character. And we get a really good glimpse of that with her relationship with Winter and how she wants to make Winter proud, but doesn't necessarily want to follow in Winter's footsteps. She wants to carve out her own identity and carve out her own, like, definition of what it means to be a Schnee.
Yeah, that's one of the issues with Yang, the more I think about it, is that it is sort of all well and good to start her off as someone who doesn't know what she wants and not having, like, a specific goal, if you then end up giving her a goal. And they never end up giving Yang a goal or any sort of drive or motivation, really, besides getting in Blake's pants, which that's fair for her to want that. I don't begrudge her that whatsoever. I mean, romance, lust, whatever, both, that's a big driver of how people act. That's totally fine. But she's supposed to be a huntress, so either better confront the fact that she doesn't have a motivation for being a huntress, or maybe fucking finally give her one, for fuck's sake. Because especially after you call out the fact that she doesn't really have one, would be nice for her to have that. Because we're done with Volume 9 and she still doesn't have it yet. Might explain a lot of why she's arguably the worst character in the show. Easily one of the worst. Same thing with Blake, honestly. Like, Blake kind of has a reason, but still, they never really address it that well. Like, Weiss and RWBY have the clearest motivations, and Weiss has the most interesting, and therefore that's partly what makes her the best character. So yeah, I completely agree with Media on that one. It's one of the reasons why Oscar's not a good character is, again, why is he here? Jean also, he's kind of in the middle, I guess I would say. But yeah, it's almost directly tied to how good the characters are, is how strong is their motivation for being here and being in the story.
I kind of always felt like Blake was sort of doing it as just because she needed a job. You know, she had run away from home and from her family and also from her criminal organization. So she was kind of all on her own. She needed something to do, and she knew how to fight. So
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty natural motive. I'm not certain they needed to explain that. That's always been my headcanon around it, that was like, what am I going to do for fucking food, you know?
I just don't trust the writers, so, like, I would like them to at least have her say it just once, like, even lightly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's the thing.
I guess, yeah.
Better story wouldn't need it. I agree with you on that, but the problem is it's RWBY, and they don't know what their characters are doing sometimes, so I kind of need them to tell me sometimes what their characters are doing, because they don't always know.
Tell me why.
I feel like if Yang had she retained her earlier characterization, sort of, I feel like the whole just did it for the lulz, just for the funs thing would have been fine for her too, really.
Yeah, they
Later
change that,
on,
and then they don't give
yeah.
her actual motivation. That's
Later on, they swapped some stuff out around with her, kind of made some stuff bad in regards to that too. I see what you're saying. They probably could have talked about it a little bit at some point.
Moving on to the Blake character short, or as it should have been called, the Ilya character short, because it's all about Ilya, and Blake is just sort of kind of there.
Ill for
Yeah.
Ilya.
The unrequited Lebesian love. Man, I forget Ilya exists as a character. Like,
You got that chameleon chlamydia, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
Changes colors. Why am I changing?
Why is my dick changing colors? That would never happen. Ilya's too ugly. So this one, I will admit, it made me sympathize with her a tiny bit. I get the whole thing about having to lie to be human and then having to agree with them to get out of the racism thing. Yeah, that I can see that being a thing. Like, that makes sense. I think that actually works. It kind of drops it when they have them use the word snickered. Like, oh my god, I can't take that word seriously. Like, it sounds so lame. It's such a stupid ass word.
Hold on. What the hell? What's wrong with that word?
They snickered. Just say they laughed, bitch. Like, just say they laughed.
they're pulling out a $5 word out of the thesaurus, thinking they were
Yeah.
clever.
You can say they giggled or something like that, but like
That's better too. That's better too.
But
That's-
like, think snickered, because for me it's like laughing, giggling, chuckling, and snickering are different actions.
Snickering is like when you it's got kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a little goblin laugh.
Or like a mean way to laugh.
It's like,
Yeah.
I just got away with like stealing like candy from the local gas station, sort of like laugh as you're pocketing, you know, the Hershey's bar.
Yeah, you stole a Snickers, so you snicker. But it's still like a lame word to use in this situation. I don't know. But it's not bad. Like, it's not a horrible character short. Like, I did slightly feel bad. I did feel a little bit worse for Ilya. It doesn't save all of the terrible actions she does in the previous volume and in this volume. But, you know, they were trying to get me to sympathize with her more, and they were semi-successful. So I gave this one a 7.5. The Weiss one I gave a 9.5.
It does jump back and forth between Blake and Sun trying to chase down some random white fang dude, and Blake remembering the time when Ilya exposited her backstory at her. I don't care, I guess, because it all loops back around to the whole Faunus racism subplot, which has been so half-baked that it's just impossible for any of its plot points to hit, especially with the benefit of hindsight for me, because these people in Ilya's backstory are just so cartoonishly racist, like laughing at the fact that someone died, when real racists wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't care enough to laugh.
I mean, unless the person in question that died had been actually a complete piece of shit for a Faunus or something. I don't know. Then they might laugh about it. They might be like, yeah, good riddance. Fuck that dude.
You know, sort of like how people laughed when Adam died.
Ah, yes. I remember those days.
That's a volume 6 plot point, though.
I will say, I remember this from the Yang short that I thought they did really well. Like, it's the moments where, like, Rooster Teeth will get something right. She's shaking after, like, beating the brakes off some, like, random thugs after getting, like, harassed inside this random gas station.
No, that's in the first episode. That's not the Yang character short.
Oh, okay.
The Yang character short is a flashback to her and RWBY training. That creates an interesting thematic through line for these shorts that doesn't really come up in the actual volume, and also doesn't connect to the RWBY character short, so it's like how much of this was actually planned and how much of this was just kind of like thrown together very quickly in the span between volumes 4 and 5, because each of these 3 shorts are about one of the 3 main girls, or one of the 4 main girls, and someone who is really important to them in their backstory. With Yang, it frames it with RWBY. Like, RWBY is the most important woman in her life, as she should be, but so rarely is. With Weiss, it's about her big sister, Winter, who is one of, if not the most important woman in her life, because we know for sure it ain't her fucking mom. And, you know, verdict's still out on RWBY at this point. She's still on a trial period.
Yeah. I saw the one thing I wrote about the Yang character short was Yang says, "I've always got your back, sis," and my comment was, "Lol, no you don't, Yang. No you fucking don't."
It's like, lie detected.
Yeah. Like, if you're gonna say shit like that, follow up on it, for fuck's sake, guys. Come
RWBY
on.
checks her back and it's got a note on it that says, I owe you.
Kick me.
This does kind of like fall apart when you take Blake into account because she made zero mention of Ilya or anyone that could be attributed to Ilya before Ilya's introduction. She never ever mentions having any friends inside the White Fang except for Adam. The impression that you get with the first 3.5 volumes is that Blake and Adam were kind of just a dynamic duo and didn't really work with the rest of the White Fang because Blake never mentions any other members of the White Fang or what the White Fang community meant to her. It's all about Adam until Ilya's introduction. They're like, oh, Ilya was like my best friend before I met Team RWBY. But it's like, was she though? Because you kind of didn't recognize her, even though she was wearing the exact same outfit and everything as the Volume 6 flashbacks that we get in the Adam character short.
Look, she
Yeah,
was
she
wearing
looks
a
like
mask,
she's missing.
okay? You gotta understand, masks are there so people don't recognize each other. That's
How was
why
I supposed to know it was Superman? He had glasses on.
Really.
Talk about some comic book logic right there.
It really kind of falls apart with Yang and RWBY, but only in hindsight. Because, and this might not be super fair, because a lot of this was kind of building up to Raven and Yang kind of realizing how much of a piece of shit Raven was or is. It always has been or whatever. But that kind of leaves RWBY hanging out on a limb because Yang says a lot of things about how much she loves RWBY and how much she wants to be there for RWBY. But she never actually does anything for RWBY. Not really. And in fact, as I've been editing these podcasts, obviously I catch like clips trying to find like the screen grab I want to use. And I ran into one when editing the Volume 3 podcast, which is this scene from Volume 9 when RWBY is very clearly not okay, as she is throughout that entire volume, and Yang is fucking giving her shit about her failed plans and stuff. Like, dude, what? Why are you acting like a bitch?
Because she's a terrible sister.
Like, I didn't really catch that on the first however many times I watched that scene. It's very early on in Volume 9, so I don't think I watched it all that often. It's one of those things that, like, oh yeah, this is why people criticize Yang. This is why people online have been calling Yang a terrible sister. But all of that is with the benefit of hindsight. As for this character short, it's fine. It's still stupid that RWBY can't do anything to defend herself without Crescent Rose. That will always bother me as a plot point, but it's canon. It's a canon event. I can't argue against it. It's at least consistently stupid.
True.
Only other note I really have is Ignite is a fun song. I like it. And the Ursa design in this is so fucking sick. It's such a shame that we don't see Ursas ever again. This is the one and only time we see an Ursa in the Maya engine.
that's wild. You'd think if they bothered making the model, they would reuse it. Like, they have to often have hordes of Grimm. You'd think they'd put one or two in there.
I'm gonna come out and say the Grimm are almost non-existent in this volume. We get one Grimm fight with the Lancers in episode 2 of this volume, and the Grimm don't show up ever again.
Yeah, that is my biggest gripe with the Volume 5, regardless of any character thing, because, like, my biggest thing is, like, and I've gone on record about saying this about, like, the Grimm are the most iconic thing for me in this show, and, like, the most important thing for me. They're just what ties the entire thing together. Not having any Grimm fights, like, barely any Grimm fights or anything like that is, it's like, big action show. But now we're in the season that's just mostly political. So it's like, yeah, that's going to be bad if it's just that only.
And then Volume 6 and 7 were focused a lot on making Grimm that we hadn't seen before. Like the Millipede Grimm, or the Saber-tooth Tiger Grimm in Volume 7, or the Leviathan in Volume 6, the Apathy, the Manticores, and Sphinx. There's a lot of Grimm in Volume 6 and 7, but a lot of them, most of them, are Grimm that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I'm all for seeing new Grimm, too. I'm fine with that, but, like, we just need more Grimm.
But yeah, this Ursa design is so fucking good, it's a shame that we've never seen it again.
What a waste.
On to the actual volume. Episode 1. Welcome to Haven. Welcome to a slideshow PNG of Mistral.
Yeah, Coop already complained about this in Was It His Worst Moments list, which he made a lot of good points, but like, even before that, literally just saying, the city of Mistral, while still in the hallway. Like, that's a bad line already. That makes sense. Also, haven't they already been in Mistral the entire time while Crow is healing? Why are we being introduced now? How the fuck does that make sense? Haven't they already been here this whole time? And then
No. They had to get a new Airbnb. Okay, they
it's just like, why do we need such a fucking Disney World fuck-ass tour introduction style thing? Like, why do we need that? I just don't understand that. Would it have been better if they just showed the characters going out to go shopping or something while Crow was sick or something like that?
Yeah.
How much more interesting and better and more interactive and immersive would that have been? And they could have actually shown them walking through the actual levels of the mountains and stuff like that. Now, I know the reason why they didn't do any of that is because they didn't have the fucking budget for it. But then if you're going to do that, and if you don't have the budget for that, then don't fucking tease us with it in the first place, you assholes. You do realize, like, coming up with this really semi-interesting and semi-clever concept, which is basically doing a more natural version of fucking Coruscant. That's basically what Mistral is. It's Coruscant, but more natural.
And Chinese.
And
They
Chinese,
should've-
yes.
Yeah, they should have gone.
with Chinese characteristics.
But then, then either do it, or if you run out of the budget for us, don't tell us, hey, everybody, this is what we could have done if we had the budget. We're not going to do that. Welcome to the house and the coffee table. Get fucking used to it. Be happy with that.
Sounds the coffee table.
Fuck that fucking oh my god, that fucking coffee table, dude.
It was
Y'all
a nice
better-
coffee table, honestly.
It was a nice coffee table.
It was a nice coffee
It's a
table.
nice fucking jade coffee table, I will admit that. But I don't want to spend that much of a volume sitting around one beautiful jade coffee table. That's not what I signed up for with my lesbian Monster Hunter show. Lesbian coffee house? Cat cafe? Yeah, I'll sign up for that shit. Yeah, hell yeah, I'll sign up for that. Cafe Soleil, hell yeah, I'll go there. But I'm not signing up for that with my lesbian Monster Hunter show. Different things, okay? Keep them separate.
Yeah, especially like if they would have gone along the lines of going shopping or at least messing around in the lower sections, like even after like Crow had gotten up and had done his little research into like looking where the other huntsmen are, we could have gotten like more sneak glances at like Miss Malachite and like maybe like the spider gang.
Yes, exactly. Why, even when they do finally have Crow going around and looking for huntsmen, why is he only looking at the top level? Like, why is he not going through the interesting areas that you fucking teased us with?
Yeah, like he goes to like
Fine.
what, maybe one bar once.
And he goes back to the same bar again, like twice, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Because I mean, they forced us to watch the thing about like all the different areas like Atlas and Mistral, and it's like they keep talking about the underbelly of Mistral in the black market, but we don't get to see any of that.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't
what I'm
see-
saying. If Crow's so sick, you gotta go down there and get like some ground up tiger testicle medicine for him,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Go get some of like the original Red Bull or some shit. So yeah, that's like basically my biggest problem with this whole thing. I mean, Nora's still funny at this point. I forgot whether Nora stopped being funny in Volume 5 or Volume 6. Spoiler alert, it's Volume 6. She really stops being funny in Volume 6. Holy shit. But she's still funny here. Like the maybe try louder thing. That still made me laugh. The fake jump scare with Crow and Lionheart and Ranger freaking out so much, that's so lame. Why do we have to watch that shit? Like Nora's lines are funny. Like, so is this not all going at all like anyone thought it would? Like, yeah, that's funny, but that's also lampshading how bad this is right now.
Yeah, that was a
Like, did they not realize this? Also, just another reminder of Aaron Dismuke is such a fucking top tier voice actor. Every time I talk shit on Oscar, like, I'm never talking shit on the voice acting performance. His whole blending of Oscar and Ozpin's voices when he does that, oh my god, dude, he is so fucking good. Why couldn't they give him a better character to fucking voice? There's little things here and there that are still good, you know, but there's so much bad already. There's so many things where they like had potential. Like, I don't dislike the ideas here. We talked about that before. This was supposed to feel like a Boss Thing Say arc or season. That's what we were kind of expecting.
And they teased that with the Lionheart stuff, and Lionheart being like, oh, I need to get, permission from the council. We lost a lot of huntsmen because when the Fall of Beacon happened, everyone panicked and we got just swarmed by Grimm. I need to convince the council that I need huntsmen more than they do. And Crow's like, well, I'll just find huntsmen that I'm on good terms with instead. Try to put together my own crack team. We're gearing up to raid Raven's camp because she's got the Spring Maiden. Crow kind of figured that out in Volume 4 because of the destroyed villages. And one thing I do like, one little detail, is that Jean and them, they already know who Raven is. They already know it's Ying's mom. The Team RWBY girls are fucking gossip hounds. They can't keep their mouth shut.
Spilling the tea.
First, Weiss tells Team Juniper that Blake is a faunus, and now Ruby's telling Team Ranger about her sister's baggage.
accurate women characterization.
I wasn't going to say
very true.
it.
I always appreciate that because there's no reason to have like a big reveal happen more than once. And we do get little bits of the other girls spread out through here. We get Weiss and the pilot boy. They're flying over the giant lake that's in the middle of the continent.
Whatever you do not pause the episode at 9 minutes and 11 seconds in.
Why those specific numbers?
Well, you got me curious now.
Why does Lionheart say that there's a quote-unquote threat of war? Just because Atlas is doing an embargo doesn't mean that they're close to war necessarily, and they don't explain that to be true.
Okay, they've been saying that since Volume 4, because everyone is blaming Atlas for the fall of Beacon.
We never actually see anybody blame Atlas, by the way.
True.
I keep forgetting that that's supposedly a plot point, because I never actually see any average people saying anything like that. Even when we fucking go to Mantle, you don't even have the Mantle people holding that against the Atlesians, which you'd think they would then if everybody's supposed to be blaming Atlas. But that's not even a thing. That's not like Robin Hill doesn't even bring that up. Like, what the fuck? That's so stupid. So I always forget that that's even a thing. I keep forgetting. And it's like, none of this really feels like we're in a threat of war the whole time. And then they keep mentioning it as if it's like something to make things tense. It never feels like it. So I think there's a lot of tense feeling they're trying to demonstrate that just rings completely hollow again, because again, you can't just tell us that without showing us and then like not proving it in any way, because they really fucking don't, like, at all.
It's kind of hard to have like a war subplot when everyone's literally fighting for their lives against the grid.
Yeah, like you don't even exactly. You don't even need it. There's it doesn't matter. Like, I don't even feel like I'm missing out without having that. They just shouldn't have mentioned it in the first place. The Yang stuff here continues to be good. Yang is the best part of this volume, weirdly. Well, she's continuing her excellent arc from volume 4 as well. And Yang after this she's okay in
miserable.
volume 6, but she's awful in volume 7, 8, and 9. She's one of the worst things in volume 7, 8, and 9, but she's still good here. I like that, she's still shaking after throwing like the first punch since she got injured. I think that's a really good thing that's showing that no, she's not all the way back, but she's getting better. I think that's really good. I like
she
that
goes
scene a
to
lot.
that corner. She goes to the gas station to get some petrol.
Correction. The gas station bar.
Hey, look.
She's got to fill up her Ducati, She's got a nice bike. Italian bikes are very finicky. She's got to make sure it's running still.
She just got her Desmo service, so, she had to blow the fucking mechanic because she didn't have the $2,000 on hand for that. I would know because I've looked at buying a Ducati. And then she gets... I'm trying to remember whenever she's getting harassed, but, like, I remember watching it, I was like, man, I'm not a chick, but, like, if this happened to me, I'd feel really fucking, like, it feels really greasy.
Yeah, it's supposed to. And they do a good job making it feel that way, and she kicks the shit out of him anyway.
Like I don't want to say she was sexually harassed, but, like, they were eyeing each other across the bar.
Fun fact, that guy, he is only ever credited as Shady Man. He is voiced by Clifford Chapin, Bakugo from My Hero Academia.
I always knew Bakugo was a sex pest.
No, Bakugo is fucking asexual.
Yeah, no, hold up.
Bakugo will never lose his virginity because Bakugo never loses.
So anyway, RWBY being the remnant equivalent of an otaku makes a lot of sense. Like, she's such a nerd about so much shit, and I'm glad that they keep bringing that up. How she's trying to read comics, and she's like a weapons nerd, and like, it does fit with her like awkward social personality and having a hard time being a leader. I'm glad they brought this up again here real quick because they kind of stopped doing that later on, but it's nice to see they're at least trying to keep that consistent with her character. I really like that. Or like the little moment where like Nora's being funny again, and RWBY looks at her questioningly, and then Nora's like, I don't know, what the fuck do you want from me, bro? Like, those little interactions show that Team Ranger is closer than Team RWBY is at this point. They spent more time together, and they've gone through arguably more together. They're like more of a unit than Team RWBY is right now.
Man,
so I like that we can see
AU where
that.
Team RWBY didn't exist. It was just kind of like Ranger instead.
If it wasn't for losing Weiss, I would prefer that.
Well, I see on the Juniper equivalent, so...
I know it's a monkey's paw shit thing to ask, but I would have liked if all 4 RWBY girls got their own, like, unique supporting cast. They occasionally, like, cross over and interact with each other because I like Weiss and Jean. I like any time that they interact together. But I like the idea that, like, Jean, Nora, and Rain are RWBY's friends.
Don't add more characters, damn it. I'm sorry.
They already
I can't.
throw a lot of those in there that are just...
Yeah, the idea Sock was pitching was actually eliminating characters, which is a good thing in this series.
I mean, if you wanted to have something along the same lines, you could have broken up the remnants of John's team and had like Ren and company go off with different characters, then have everybody reunite, have like a weird dynamic with that. But I think that would have kind of made Volume 4 sort of suck a little bit. And they sort of do that later on in like volumes like 7 and 8 and stuff.
I mean, you wouldn't have to like add new characters. You could just take characters you already have, like Team Sun. Like instead of just being like, "Hey, we're from Mr. Elf now," it's like, no, you get transferred to Beacon.
Yeah, they could have used Team Sun. They don't
Coffee
really...
Bean brought down a peg, brought in, so they're actually doing something, so that we have a little bit more with them.
I wouldn't bring coffee into anything for any reason whatsoever. So even this...
I do. I bring it into work every day.
Well, yeah, I have like 2 cups in the morning, but other than that, no.
One last note on this first episode. They reused the scene with Oscar from the Volume 4 post-credit scene and then have the introduction with Oscar and Team Ranger. It's fine in isolation, I guess, but at the same time, it's just an omen of things to come. So let's get into the second episode, Dread in the Air, which is a much more Weiss-centric episode, despite her only being in half of it. She's the only interesting half of this episode, though. So we'll start out with that. Weiss versus the Lancers. It's a fun fight. She's in the airship. She has to lock herself down with her glyphs because that's how they work now.
Pretty good fight. Nothing crazy to talk about. It does kind of have the issue of Weiss starting to rely a little too much on her summoning. Yeah, which Coop has pointed out quite a lot. And you know what? He's right. Definitely right about that. But yeah, I mean, the Weiss part is the better part of this episode.
It is the first Weiss fight where she relies heavily on her summon. Again, it's really cool at this moment, but it is an omen of horrible things to come. But we do get a reprise of This Life Is Mine, which is fun.
I do love Watts fucking with Cinder just for no fucking reason other than he just hates her.
Honestly, that's all he needs. That's all he needs.
I love it. I love...
How does this thing work? Cinder, can you see us? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Man, Watts is such a good character.
I fucking love Watts. He's best mustache, best boy. The thing where Salem threatens Lionheart, but he didn't even say anything out of line. Like, what was the point of that? I don't understand what they're trying to go with there. That was bad. There's a lot of things where they like try to seem threatening or try to seem creepy, and it's like coming out of nowhere and it doesn't make sense. Like, you guys gotta be logically consistent with how these people act, you know? It just makes them... I don't understand Salem's motivations if she's gonna be threatening him when he didn't even do anything wrong in a way that makes it seem like he did something wrong. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, she shouldn't be that stupid and be that irrationally angry, because she's not usually like that. So those are some of the issues that you see constantly throughout this, especially this volume. That's really annoying. Also, oh my god, Sienna Khan is so fucking hot, dude.
Real.
Yeah.
Fucking real.
Yes.
Tears, cat ears. Oh my god. Fuck me. Oh my dude, she's so hot.
Fucking
That's
chef.
what yeah, chef's kiss, Sienna Khan, S tier.
She didn't last
Oh my
this
God.
long in this world, too, which is the real bummer there.
Yeah. That's...
Hey, good news, I forgot. She's in the Adam character short in the beginning of Volume 6.
Yeah, it's where we actually see her weapon and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the best part of Volume 6, unfortunately. The scene where Sienna dies is kind of lame, honestly.
It's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. Also, why did you give us such a fucking hot character and then barely use that? Oh, I do not forgive them for that.
Yeah,
That she's way too hot to not have around longer. That pisses me off, man.
I am 500% with you on that one.
You know what? I don't even have anything else to say. I'm too mad about that.
Especially with how integral that she was with the entire white thing to begin with. Like the whole Weiss thing.
Yeah, again, I don't really understand what the big deal is with the White Fang, why they are the way they are.
Why are you the way you are?
More so, like, why everyone acts like they are more than what they are. Because, like, Sienna Khan's like, oh yeah, well, we're, under my tutelage, we're more aggressive or whatever. It's like, wait, weren't you, like, executing people? Like, board members or whatever, according to Weiss, kidnapping people and murdering them. I mean, I understand that, like, taking on the Huntsman Academies is a bridge too far, because that's just fucking stupid. Like, the Huntsman Academies are for the benefit of everyone, allegedly. They fight all the ground for everyone, allegedly.
Shut up, don't ask questions, shut up.
The problem with like Sienna Khan's White Fang is like not so much like whatever order Sienna Khan gives. She actually seems like the most level-headed from what we got her between the Adam Short and this episode. It's the fact that like they just recruit so much that they get so many different like little factions and like little wings that just do their own fucking thing, and it's shit just gets out of control.
If Sienna Khan is like killing off board members and stuff, that's cool and all, I guess. But, it does seem like kind of odd that the entire point of putting her in charge of the White Fang in the first place was that the White Fang wanted somebody like more hardcore. And so that was kind of like the pathway they were headed towards the whole time. It seems like. I don't know why she would get in there and then start to be like sort of wanting to tone things down after the fact. I think she basically just didn't really understand how to properly execute the previous plan. Killing off board members is one thing, but if you don't have like some guys that can come in on your side to take the now missing board member's place and infiltrate things and have them work for you and get like money and stuff delivered to you and stuff, you're gonna stagnate a little bit. You can't just be terrorists. You have to be spies and stuff too.
Yeah, there's levels to this thing.
So yeah, the first 2 episodes are kind of a mixed bag, but still pretty fun. Episode 3, Unforeseen Complications, is really bad. It's not even anywhere near the worst episode of this volume, but it is the one that I've often cited as being much more indicative of the direction that this volume ended up going, because it is primarily a Blake episode. She is kind of the main focus here. After, did we even talk about the Blake scene for the first episode? How they were trying to like rat on the White Fang, and they apparently threw Ilya under the bus, made her the patsy, and then Ilya was like, you gotta get out of here before it's too late, you're not gonna be able to beat them. And now they're trying to like recruit people to help them defend Haven from this White Fang plot.
Because that was all on a phone.
Just all tying in with the worst parts of Volume 4, and it's just continuing to be kind of annoying for me, how Ilya like just shows up and is like, blah, 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 what about my parents? It's not horrible though. Again, it's serviceable. You can follow along. You can kind of see the direction that the writers are wanting to take this, and they are at least doing something to try to get there for the Blake stuff. But then we also get another scene in the house where Ozpin takes over Oscar's body and is like, we gotta train you guys up. Yes, you were able to defeat a Nuklavi that no other huntsman were able to take down in 10 years, but that doesn't matter. We're resetting. We're resetting this power level, I guess, here, or the skill level for these characters, so that we can give them a training montage that's mostly off-screen. It doesn't actually contribute anything because the characters never actually improve.
They don't do anything.
Jean unlocks his semblance in this volume later on. That's about it.
It's like, oh yeah, that happened. I forgot.
And it's not even thanks to any of the training that he does.
It just happens because somebody got stabbed. People really should not get stabbed in front of Jean. Never works out all that well.
He's 1 for 3 in saving women from deadly circumstances.
But he got the best one out of it. So,
This is the episode where they decide to try to go to Haven, right?
They were in Haven.
Which they?
Caligera.
Yeah, they have the speech where they're trying to like recruit people to sign the petition to join them in trying to save Haven from the White Fang. I said that.
So dumb. I hate it so much.
You've got to sign a petition first. They couldn't just be like, hey, yo, we got a boat. Whoever wants.
Sign up to volunteer. I don't know what the actual paperwork says, obviously.
I think we talked about this when we watched it, Media, and I was just remember saying, like, I don't care who you are. Like, you can't expect anybody to go along with this shit. Oh, yeah, the people that have been repressing you your whole life, all this kind of stuff, we need you to save them. Like, what universe is that going to work? I'm sorry. Like, what, you're going to go ask the Finns to go defend the Russians right now? Fuck off, that's never going to happen. Go ask the Poles to defend the Russians? Like,
it kind of works with RWBY. Because, we never see all that many Faunus ever actually being treated all that bad most of the time.
Well, that's a whole nother problem with the fucking show. But, the thing is, even beyond that, it's how is this their problem? It's such a fucking reach, man. It's so lame. And what are they gonna do? None of these people are warriors.
It's like,
how are they gonna get there? What?
We're on this fuck-ass island. We got enough problems.
It's just so poorly thought out in every conceivable way. I don't understand how it's not obvious to everybody or obvious to the writers that this is just a fucking joke. It bothers me so much. Like, yeah, there's some nice little moments leading up to like Callie being an actual supportive wife. Like, I've complained about the fact that there are not more successful romantic relationships in this show. Like, not that we even need to see the romance, just seeing like, again, it's a universe where people die a lot. Like, you have to have kids. Where are the kids? Where are the relationships? So it's nice to have that with Callie and Gira. Yeah, again, just be consistent with your fucking universe, guys. At the same time, like, okay, you're gonna talk about like the faunus being repressed. Okay, yeah, they don't show it well. We know that. We've talked about that. We've complained about that. But then, like, if that's something that the writers think is a big thing, then in what universe do they think that this is a good idea to get the faunus to just agree to go to the kingdom where supposedly, and again, we never see it, but supposedly they're the most racist to faunus. Again, they don't show that at all, but whatever. They're the only ones with a faunus headmaster as far as we know, unless the headmaster of Shade is also a faunus. I don't know.
They're not.
They're not. Okay.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
you go. Okay. So the only one. So again, none of that makes sense either. But still, like, come on. If you are a faunus and they ask you to go defend them, like, really? Are you fucking kidding me? What universe is anybody going to sign up for that shit? No one's going to do. And how are Callie and Gira and Blake? Well, Blake, I can see why. But how are Callie and Gira so stupid that they don't know that before they even suggest this idea? That boggles my mind. Anybody give me an explanation for how you could think anybody would be convinced to do this? And they're not offering to pay them a shitload of money, by the way, because I know that'd be the way to do it. I know that's how you got people to go to war most of the time, and especially back in the day. Pay them or you pillage and loot. That's how war worked. That's clearly not what they want to do here. So what's the motivation?
You market it as a vacation. That's how you do it. Free travel to Mistral, all
Yep.
expense
Okay, so I
paid.
would-
Slight maybe asterisk next to the all expense paid part. Who knows? You know, like there's all kinds of ways that you could get them.
Well, I'm saying that's not what they do, though. In terms of what they are saying, in what universe should this work? Like, this should not work. I don't expect any of the faunus to say yes to this. That's the thing. I wouldn't.
I also don't expect any of the faunus to say yes to the shit that Adam is pushing. As far as blowing up the Huntsman Academy, I'm like, I get that Adam is just crazy, but does he really have that level of a cultish stranglehold on the majority of the White Fang people that he is able to just do this on a whim and they just go along with it? If he did, then he wouldn't have had to run and get bitched out the way he does at the end of this volume. It doesn't make sense. Like, if you really had that much influence, he would have been able to recover from this, but he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not certain why they went with him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end, I didn't really see too many faunus coming along with Blake and company. Like,
They do.
it's few of them, like few characters.
And if they got so few, why even bring the very few that they got? Why not just go by themselves? Like,
And they didn't even
actually
really
fight?
need them either, because like Blake and Sun are the ones that beat Adam off just on their own. So actually, they never needed to bring them in the first place. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
like.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. So, like, I just hate the
Oh,
lack
really?
of logic here.
So really, it was kind of a vacation for those guys. They didn't have to do
Yeah.
anything. They get a whole trip out of it. It's
Yeah, you get to go places and see cool things, you know.
man,
stick
that
to
Mistral
somebody?
place is pretty cool. And it turns out they don't actually hate faunus as much as we were told by faunus propaganda networks. Maybe we can be friends, you know?
The Mistral's the most racist. This is just Atlas propaganda.
Yes, Mistral is the most racist, my fellow faunim. You must buy all of our Atlas goods instead. Yes.
Yes.
That's actually like a major point in why a lot of people have complaints with the faunus racism subplot in this. Because like every time we see someone be a dick to the faunus, it's also someone who is a dick to everybody. So it's not even racially motivated. Like the whole SDC exploitation of cheap faunus labor, that's not racially motivated because he pays the faunus the same amount he pays everybody.
It's not because you're faunus. It's because you're poor.
It's because I'm a dick.
Yeah, he works in a mine. Like, that's pretty bad stuff right there, right off the bat. Honestly, if he has to pay everybody the same amount, I would say it's probably just because there's too much unemployment in Atlas, probably, so he can pay cheap wages for labor. There's too many people out of jobs. That might be the real issue.
It's the same thing as like Cardin in Volume 1, who is supposed to be our introduction to the faunus racism subplot, where he's bullying Velvet and making fun of her ears. In the same episode when he is throwing Jean in a locker and launching him off campus.
Not to like excuse for what he's done. It's just like I think he's just
He's just an asshole.
He's
bullies tells you if you're
love
weak,
the game, you know?
if you're weak in his eyes, he will bully you. That's just how it is.
He doesn't grab Bunny Bitch's ears because she's a faunus. It's just the easiest way to hurt her and to make fun of her, basically. Now, depending on who you ask, that's part of the racism. It doesn't really matter at this point. Either way, it doesn't really matter because RWBY does not handle it well no matter what. Most of the time when people try to do racism allegories in media, it doesn't usually work. And again, this is speaking, both sides usually end up not liking it. So like it doesn't really work for anybody. So yeah, it's just doesn't usually go very well. I mean, if you can make it work, sure, go for it. But they clearly have not done it well in this series. And it ends up harming the show because they're not showing actual racism really, you know, or they're not showing it well in the few instances that they do show some sort of racism, because they do sometimes actually show it, like they do in Volume 6, actually.
Moving on, a through line with the second, third, and fourth episode is that Weiss is kidnapped by Raven, because it's a small fucking world after all, guys.
Yeah. Whenever Weiss got kidnapped by Raven, taken to the bandit camp, it's like, oh, I've seen this hentai before.
That's, you know, it's funny. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was talking about that when Media and I watched this, and I was like, they're skipping over some really dark implications here, aren't they? Ugh, this is uncomfortable, but they don't even mention it. It's kind of weird.
Look, there's only so many places a plane can crash in the wilderness, guys.
And it has to be at the enemy. It has to be at like the random bandit camp or whatever.
Not even the random bandit camp. The very specific only bandit camp that they can go to.
The nomadic bandit camp that moves around a lot.
The idea that Weiss is the last person in her friend group to know anything about Yang's mom.
You know, she's the one to interact with her the most.
Yeah.
Your mom kidnapped me?
You kidnapped her? Yang, when were you planning on telling me your mom was a bandit? You never asked. The only one I told was Blake. Then how does Jean know? I don't know. The RWBY must have told him. They were together for 6 to 8 months.
It keeps me impressed that they managed to keep that secret about the relic in the later seasons. How much of blabbermouths the whole team is.
Oh my god, yeah, that's totally... Man, I might have to turn my opinion on Volume 7 around, because, like, Blake and Yang babbling to Robin about Ironwood's plan.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's perfectly within character.
They can't keep their fucking mouth shut. Team RWBY are the worst team to tell a secret to.
OPSEC, no. We just tell everyone everything.
RWBY told the world.
Moving on to episode 4, Lighting the Fire. This is a Yang-centric episode, where we get back with her and Shady Man. That's apparently also his name now. Literally Shady Man.
Not affiliated with the Will of D.
Thankfully.
Thank yeah.
Shady Man's like, after you beat me up, I still want to get it in with you, but, I don't think your mom would like that too much.
Yeah, we get a fight with her and these bandits. She beats all their asses because these bandits are supposed to be totally dangerous and they only have one shot at this, and the Lionheart has to get approval from the council to borrow more huntsmen because, they have the Spring Maiden, and Crow and Raven cancel each other out, and there's a huntsman shortage, but then this one teenage girl kicks half of their asses without breaking a sweat by herself when she's still recovering from her PTSD.
Never meet your heroes, kids.
That's not really a complaint because we know for a fact that Lionheart was just bullshitting. Was just trying to buy time for Salem to get there first.
Problem is, it worked. He bought the time. He kept people not doing shit for so long.
Yeah, Crow totally fell hook, line, and sinker. Crow, who is from the same bandit camp, who knows how pathetic they would be, who literally, his and Raven's backstory is that they kept on getting so fucking dunked on by huntsmen that they sent their own 2 youngest people to a huntsman academy specifically to learn how to fight huntsmen. And now, Raven and the Spring Maiden, who they don't know is the same person, but in Crow's mind, they are the only 2 people who know how to fight. Why doesn't Crow just take the kids and go? At least try to, maybe talk things out or evaluate, the bandit camp strength, or try to figure out, who the Spring Maiden is so that they can maybe kidnap her. That'd be a fun plot line. Try to kidnap the Spring Maiden, but they end up kidnapping Vernal, who is not the Spring Maiden. She's just pretending to be it, like fucking Keira Knightley in Phantom Menace.
Oops, just a prank.
Well, that would have been more interesting just because they actually would have done something then instead of sitting around by the fucking coffee table the whole time.
Even if it turned out that they had lost some kind of way against the bandits, really, they'd probably just do their thing as they were going to in the first place, and we'd wind up in the same place probably somehow.
So, Yang and Raven reunite after however many years. 18, Well, I mean, technically only a couple months or like a year, maybe because the whole train incident. First time that they've ever had a conversation, and Raven is just such a bitch.
She's so hot. I mean, wait.
I do like that about Raven's character. She's just a unrepentant bitch.
I don't think it works with the show, though. I don't think it works with how like they try to set things up. She's a letdown compared to what we were expecting in terms of her having some more amount of humanity in her, but she doesn't have that. So there's nothing interesting in terms of the dynamic with her and Yang, really, because she's so unremorseful, and there's nothing complex there about Raven, honestly. And so to me, that's actually not a good thing. I would say it's not great. Like, I'm not saying that they needed to make her a good mom. It's already too late for that. But again, as I've stated before with my all-time favorite scene in the entire series, like, you got one scene with Willow, and she is a more complex and interesting and well-written character than Raven ever is throughout the entire series. You don't agree with Willow. You still come out of that scene knowing that Willow is not a good mom, but you at least come out of it with some small amount of sympathy, or you could come up with a large amount of sympathy depending on who you are, but at least some understanding of why Willow is the way she is. Whereas with Raven, it's like, nah, she's just a selfish asshole, and that's all there is to it. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not very interesting. That's not that interesting to me. And we already have like asshole bad guy characters. Do we really need more of that? Like, we already have completely uncomplex asshole bad guy characters like, you know, Cinder and Tyrion and all of those people who have either no good motivation or really, really fucking stupid motivation, right? I think Raven should have been a more complex and subtle character than she was.
I agree, dude. I think mostly just for Yang's benefit, though.
Yes,
Because, you know, Yang, she is saying very early on that one of her key motivations is to find the mom in the first place. And then as soon as she finds her, they just play it off like she doesn't care immediately and thinks she's a bitch. And I'm like, well, first off, you haven't even gotten to know her yet, really. So you can't judge her that quickly, can you, Yang? And also, you were looking for her this whole time. And you happened to accidentally find her, sure. But the whole thing plays off weird. I do kind of wish the dynamic between them had been, you know, I'm fine with it being strained, but I would also like a little bit more like push and pull between them, you know, like
what if like Raven tried to lead her on a little bit more or something? Like,
that's what I'm saying
her,
is that Raven is like
you know?
in a really good position to kind of like tempt Yang into her lifestyle because Yang is sort of like that to begin with, you know.
Yeah,
And-
she is.
Yeah.
And-
No, I
and-
think we even talked about stuff like that during the podcast.
Yeah,
That
you
was
know,
like-
and
That was like 7 years ago or some shit, dude. I don't remember if that's what we talked about, or 8 years ago.
I
you
don't
know,
remember.
maybe Raven could be like, you know, I actually am glad that you're back, Yang. I didn't want to abandon you and stuff. You know, maybe she could be lying about it and just trying to get Yang to go along with her. Have that be the reveal at the end, like part of it that Yang has to deal with. You know, there's all sorts of things that you could do with it. Having them sort of immediately be like Yang has already cut her off forever, even before she met her, even though she wanted to meet her. It doesn't play well. It's just, I wish they had included it, but not in that way.
She never asks Raven, like, why she left. Never asked Raven why she never came back, which I think is a much more important question. Not just for the plot, but just from a character base. Because, like, okay, Raven abandoned Yang as a child. There's very obvious reasons why that could be the case. Raven didn't think she could be a good mom. Her loyalties truly lied with the bandits. Like, she never actually abandoned the bandits the way that Crow did. She didn't want that life for Yang. She thought that she'd be better off with Tai and Summer and Crow together. There's a lot of, like, really good, legit reasons why Raven would not want to raise Yang, and why Raven would certainly not want to raise Yang in the environment that she wanted to be in. Those are very personal choices because she's not a good person. Like, she's not a good guy, and it all stems from that. Like, that's still understandable motivation, but why did she stay gone? Like, why didn't she ever, like, visit or try to, like, be a part of Yang's life at all, especially after Summer died? That's a much more interesting question that you can get some, like, good characterization out of.
I could come up with something that would kind of skirt around that. You could basically have it be where actually she did want to raise Yang with the bandits, but Tai and company didn't want that for Yang.
They never bring it up.
Yeah, but they could have had it like that, you know. She can turn into a raven. She might have, and she knows where Tai's house is. She might have just swooped in on Yang a few times, too. They could do it like that.
Apparently, it is canon that that did happen, that, like, she was like keeping an eye on them. There's one of the comics that's published by DC is a really fucking stupid comic, but apparently Raven just fucking harasses RWBY for no goddamn reason as a bird.
Yeah, I've seen the scenes from those. It
Anyway.
certainly happens in ways. She could have been. There are various ways in which she could have been more integral to Yang's life and her characterization and made Yang's characterization better, which is really what I want for Yang, because there's not a lot you could do to make it worse. Let's be honest, guys. We're not working with a whole lot here. I'm trying to give her something.
And this would be the perfect opportunity to start implementing stuff like that, because, like, she kidnapped Weiss. And there's no fucking way she doesn't know that Weiss and Yang are teammates. No way.
Yeah.
She's hip enough to know that Winter is no longer in Mistral and that she got recalled back to Atlas. There's no way that Raven didn't catch wind of what was going on with the Vital Festival and who Yang's teammates are.
She could probably go up to Weiss and be like, hey, so I know you're on a team with my daughter, who is Yang, by the way, so I'm going to use you for various nefarious things.
Kind of like work it in, like have her be more manipulative, have her be whispering sweet nothings to Weiss as well, try to like get Weiss and Yang on her side of this stupid battle thing.
It wouldn't work as well with Weiss, I think, character-wise, but I think that would be a good, like, dynamic between Weiss and Yang, you know, where Weiss would be the skeptical one of it, whereas Yang would be kind of more intrigued with, you know, the whole bandit lifestyle and the temptations of it.
And giving Raven the benefit of the doubt.
That's a good dynamic to have between them that they didn't have, because honestly, like, Weiss and Yang don't really have a whole lot going on between them in most instances.
This is the only volume where they have anything like a legit dynamic.
My freezer burned in shambles.
I mean, that scene.
It's all right.
That scene,
You can
their
always have a
conversa-
broken freezer.
Their conversation together is one of the better scenes in this volume, though. Like, again,
Real.
Weiss's best girl, you know,
Yeah.
Yang is still good here. That conversation together was very, very sweet. Like, I feel bad for Yang that her mom is such a piece of shit. Like, again, she should have been better written, but I still feel bad for Yang for that reason, right? Because her mom is that irredeemable. So that does suck for her, of course. And I like that Yang and Weiss are so happy to fucking see each other.
That hug was.
The hug was very, very sweet. That was nice. Yeah, some good freezer burn. So we're not on the scene where they actually start talking together yet. Is it their little conversation? That's like, that scene's so good.
That's much later. That's like 4 or 5 episodes away.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Not a whole lot happens in this volume.
Yeah, god damn. I thought that was way sooner. Fucking hell, man. All right.
We're gonna get through this
You're like,
rest of
oh,
this really
boy.
quick because of it, though. So
That's fine. They made up for the with all the Grim fights, right? Right? The Grim fights.
I'm certain.
Just to kind of put it in perspective, we're already like approaching episode 5. On top of having already talked about the 3 character shorts, we were still on the second episode of volume 3 at this time.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed while I was watching through volume 5 was that I went through the entire volume and I added up the number of times that they sat around or stood next to a table and had a conversation versus how many fight scenes there are. And I thought it was going to be close, and it wasn't even a little bit close. The table talks won by a fucking landslide. It was like a 3-to-1 ratio or something like that. And I don't just mean like talking. I mean literally talking around or next to or near or at tables, which, yes,
Did you
we
count
have
the
now.
one where they were like outside and Rin was just sitting down cross-legged in the dirt to talk about things?
No, because there's no table there. And that one didn't even count because there was no table there. Terrible scene. Fucking awful lore dumping.
I'm so glad you guys brought that up, because that's the next scene in this episode.
Their fucking bullshit explanation of like how semblances and all that
Well,
shit
you can
works.
call it an explanation, but I wouldn't really say it's an explanation
yeah.
since you mostly
I-
vaguely described contradictory things
Yeah.
in the same sentence.
So no, I did not count that one. But yeah, no, that was inspired by the beautiful green coffee table, which we have apparently now kidnapped and brought to Cafe Soleil. And that's how bad this volume was. That I even thought of doing that. And then it turned out to be so lopsided away from fight scenes. And I even like double counted some fight scenes. I counted like when they skipped away from the fight between the White Fang and the Belladonna family, counted it for another fight when it went to a different room. Like that's how much I tried to help the fight scenes, and it still was that bad. So yeah, that's an example of how fucking awful this volume is, man.
Not to say that, like, RWBY needs to have fights to be good, but the stuff that aren't fights has to be good in order for it to be good. And also, if you're gonna have a lot of fight scenes, those fight scenes have to be good. And they're just not. Like, this volume has the worst collection of fight scenes in the whole series by, I think, a wide margin. And then it also has the worst non-fight scenes of the series. Like, there's just everything about this volume is just the worst. The only thing that I think is kind of an improvement is that they locked in their ability to animate with Maya a little bit more. The facial expressions and the lighting and stuff is a very small improvement over volume 4. But it still doesn't look as good or as striking as volumes 1 and 2. Like, it still ends up looking worse. The choreography is sloppy. Like, everything looks good in a still frame, but when the characters are moving, it looks awkward because everything is so poorly staged. And so the cinematography, the way that the camera is used within both the dialogue scenes and the fight scenes is bad. And especially in this scene where RWBY is training with Ozpin to be a better hand-to-hand fighter, and she doesn't improve. She only learns how to, like, stand up to do a headbutt, which, by God, it does come back in later.
Oh, I hate that so much.
Why are the stupidest things the things that get followed up on?
God.
It do be like that every time RWBY gets jobbed out by some random guy that's willing to throw hands.
But then Oscar and Jean are self-conscious because they don't have their semblances yet. RWBY's trying to, like, keep them pepped up. We get lore on how Nora unlocked her semblance, and that's fun. Struck by lightning, crazy Thursday. And then Ren has to ruin it by being like, yeah, semblances don't actually matter. There's no actual connection. Like, oh, some people think that there's a connection between semblance and personality. Some people think that the personality defines the semblance. Some people think that the semblance defines the personality. That's a good, like, twist on, like, a nature versus nurture thing. A lot of shows do that. But then he ruins it by saying, like, oh, but other people think that there's no connection at all. That means that's the right answer. Because that means that any connection you can find is just a coincidence. Which means all the, like, cool little pathos thing about, like, oh, Yang's semblance is the way it is because, you know, life dealt her a bad hand, but she keeps getting back up and keeps fighting for the people she loves. Blake's semblance going from, like, a sign of her cowardice, how she always avoids conflict, to an ability to, like, push forward. That loses all of its weight. Ren's emotional repression and how it was unlocked during a very traumatic event involving the Grimm, that doesn't matter anymore. Jean's semblance being linked to the fact that he thinks that he is only a good person when he is of service to others, and so his semblance is very support heavy. That loses all of its weight before it's even revealed because of the scene.
I don't think it loses its weight because it's just like a bad opinion from them.
I think it loses its weight mostly because of how it happened in the first place. That particular scene was not great in a lot of ways.
From everything else in the show does lead towards the nature versus nurture thing, as you mentioned. But like someone just saying like, oh, there's no correlation. It's like, bitch. Yes, there is.
Well, hold up, guys. I mean, there's a good example that there is no correlation. Okay, what exactly about Neptune's personality gives him his incredible semblance?
What was his semblance again?
Sucks. Liquid, no fucking like jelly or some shit.
If it touches his body, yes, which is why he is not allowed to bathe.
Fucking Neptune lore is so stupid.
Because he fucking sucks.
Dang, stinky Neptune.
Fucking hate Neptune.
So yeah, this scene is shit. And so is the entire next episode, Necessary Sacrifices. The worst episode in RWBY.
Oh boy.
I actually only have this one as second worst than the third worst in the volume. I have two that are even worse than this one. Oh, this is where they start the whole Faunus recruitment thing. Yeah, I basically wanted to complain about this.
This is when Blake and Sun start actually like doing the groundwork of trying to recruit people. And then Blake has her speech about how she likes to boil people down into one word. Because that's a totally healthy way to look at your friends.
And the fact that the writers don't see a problem with that. That's the biggest issue, is that they don't. Honestly, I can understand Blake where she is at this point doing that. But the writers need to point out that that's not a good thing and that she needs to learn to not think that way. The problem is the writers are so bad that they don't see an issue with it. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think the RWBY Twitter account like tweeted something about that this year or like within the past year where they kind of went along with that line and like what words used to describe something about. I think they did something. You can check. I don't really not gonna
bother.
I'll probably go back and check in a second, but like I'm pretty sure they did something like that. So it's like that means other people, because the people running the Viz RWBY account are probably not Carrie and Miles and the other two writers whose names I can't be bothered to remember because they haven't done a good job. So I just think that's a big problem. It's like the writers don't realize that that's fucking stupid. That's a big fucking problem.
This, I think, is at least the most pointless episode. Like, nothing in this episode really comes up again. We already know, because of the third episode of this volume, that they're going to try to recruit Faunus. We see them just try to recruit Faunus, but we don't see them succeed in recruiting Faunus. We get the explanation of Adam's plan again, even though we already had that. And then RWBY gives Oscar a pep talk that doesn't really connect with anything because Oscar's motivations are non-existent at this point. Those are the only 3 scenes in this episode.
That is bad. Oh my god. I gave this episode a 9 out of 100. That's pretty low. One of the lowest episodes of the whole series. It's not the lowest, but it's down there, I would say. Haven't we already talked about how bad the Oscar and RWBY conversation scene is? That's
Not
the one
yet.
where
No thanks.
we have not talked about that today. I don't even.
No, not yet. Not yet. We
Okay, you
haven't.
guys. This is the one where she comes downstairs and he's like, "How do you do it?" Is it that one?
Yes.
It was literally like the RWBY pep talk for John just happening again. It's like, we've been here before.
But much dumber this time because Oscar doesn't have motivation. This all, links back to the fact that they skipped the most important defining moment of Oscar's entire life, which is him answering the hero's call. He goes from just denying that Osmond is real and being like,
Get out of my head!
I can't be doing this, and then literally next time we see him, he's leaving and going to Mistral. So we don't know what it was that Osmond said to convince him, and we never find that out. We never cut back to that. Oscar is still just being kind of a whiny bitch about this, even though he knew something. He learned something that convinced him that this is the right thing to do, even though he is 14 and has no huntsman training and otherwise didn't really sign up for any of this. He's just kind of going along with the voice inside of his head because reasons.
Osmond told him he'd get laid if he did it.
You know, the worst part about that is he might end up being right.
Yep, I know damn well that you want to convince a 14-year-old boy of something. That's how you do it.
I mean, yeah, speaking from remembering when I was 14, yeah, that would have got me to do anything.
Check my head.
Because you know we're not wrong, Sock.
I'm not saying a word. I'm just shaking my head.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Osmond told him there was going to be bitches.
I mean, there are a lot.
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong about that. I mean, Blake is a giant bitch. So is Yang after this point.
Too bad for Oscar, at least half of them are gay.
I know, that's
Yes,
true.
I didn't mention
Yeah.
that part.
He didn't mention that part. That's true, yeah. Like Blake, he used only one word to describe them.
Hmm.
You're going to be surrounded by beautiful women, Oscar, and one of them is ace, one of them doesn't like short guys, and the other two are totally gay for each other. What about Nora? I'm pretty sure she's taken.
It's false advertising.
It's not that. God, I miss Mercury.
Any other thoughts on... God, it's just nothing... God damn it, nothing happens.
I know.
Nothing happens in this volume until the last few episodes. Even
This episode is 16 minutes long. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm trying to think of, things to say.
We can barely
it's the
talk about
closest
it.
we've gotten to a anime recap episode in RWBY was that episode.
We get the worst line delivery from Adam with the whole the Belladonna family has taken so much from whatever the fuck he says. They caused me so much pain.
Oh god, that was horrible.
My trauma.
Cut my wrist and black my eyes. The Belladonnas killed me.
I'm just a fun spawning bullshit.
Oh, Ilya is totally on board with killing Blake's parents, by the way. Ilya is literally just Adam if he was allowed to have a character arc. So, moving on to episode 6, Known by Its Song. Another Yang-centric episode.
What's the song, Media? Tell us.
Bird. The bird is the
word.
Yeah.
That is the only song I can think of that would actually fit what is revealed here. Because this is the big episode that reveals that Osmond turned Raven and Crow into birds.
Your mom's a bird, Yang. We've been birds the whole time, except for when we didn't want to, and we hate it, even though it's actually really convenient for us.
This is the dumbest. This is why I made fun of this in my intro. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever, because why is this a bad thing in any way? Why are people so appalled by this? And it doesn't really matter because nobody talks about it again after this. Like, people are like, they're super outraged about it when they first hear about it, and then it's like, that's never a problem again. Dude, in the Harry Potter universe, it's illegal to turn yourself into an animal without registering what animal you turn into, because it's such a good thing. It's such an advantage. It's so OP that it's illegal to do so without reporting it. Also, because the UK has no freedom, but that's a whole different thing. Still, and I know it's a different universe, but let's be honest, it's the same basic concept for that sort of thing. That's how much of a good thing it is. Like, it's the whole thing where, like, they're trying to recruit the Faunus and tell them to convince them to go fight for these people that don't give a shit about them, and if anything, have mistreated them. In what universe is anybody going to say yes to this? There's no universe in which I would say yes to that, right? The bird thing, in what universe am I going to say no to getting bird powers?
Not like they didn't consent. They consented. And it's also not like a werewolf by night situation where, like, oh, by day I'm a human, by night I'm a bird, and I can't control that. No.
Lady Hawk was so real for that.
I just have a new power on top of my semblance. I'm just straight up magic now. Like, there is no downside. So why the fuck does everyone have an issue with this? Why is Yang being all like, how dare you? How dare you turn my mom into a bird?
Wait, Mom, was I hatched?
Yeah.
Probably, because then she could abandon her and let Ty sit on her while she left. That would make sense. Like, make Ty take care of her. Ty, you warm the egg.
Yeah, you were doing anything.
You warm the egg while I go out for eggs. Don't confuse the eggs, okay? I have that one marked.
I have that one marked.
It's got the bow on it. Remember, that one's the one with the bow on it.
I care about this one the most least.
Yang, Weiss, and Raven. It's just another sit down and talk scene where they just exposit at each other.
With a table, by the way. She even has a bedside table when she has the conversation later on. Yeah, I checked that. She actually, despite being in a tent, not only does she have a tea table, she has a bedside table too. Very posh tent.
I actually didn't mind the Raven, Weiss, and Yang talk. I didn't mind it so much because it was more like, y'all trust Osmond way too much, and there's some things he's hiding from you, a lot of things. And he's kind of a known liar at this point, so, like, you should be questioning more things. Like, you do what you want, but you need to question and make a decision based on that.
Which they kind of do, but they don't really follow up on it very well.
Yeah.
Because, again, by volumes 7 and 8, they're just back to doing what Ozpin says.
The main purpose of the scene is to get Yang and Weiss on the same page as Team Ranger ahead of their reunion, even though they could have just been caught up off screen after the reunion, and then we could have gotten their reactions there. But I do like the bit when Yang's like, you don't believe her, do you? And Weiss is like, well, my powers are kind of bullshit, so... Like, Weiss is just way more okay with believing in the magic. He's like, well, I mean, I have like 5 semblances in one.
Although I
makes
do
sense.
wonder why exactly it is that Ozpin decided to turn both of them into birds when one of them has nothing to do with him.
That's actually explained. Crow and Raven were both working for Ozpin, so he turned them both into birds, or gave them both bird power so that they can, like, spy on Salem's forces for him. It's based on, like, Hugin and Munin from Norse mythology, Odin's pet ravens. That's the main inspiration for Raven specifically. Like, Crow is kind of a combination of that and the Scarecrow from Oz. Raven is straight up Hugin and Munin.
I'm more just wondering how he was able to convince Raven to work for him at all in the first place, and how long she did it for, and why she did it.
Well, that would require us to get more motivation on Raven and why she actually, like, left. Or, also, like, a timeline. How old is Raven in comparison to Yang? How old was she when she had Yang? How long had she been an active huntress before that happened? We don't get canon ages for any of the characters after the first volume. Like, the first volume is like, okay, Ruby's 15, everyone else is 17, and then Oscar is 14. Like, we get that revealed in one of the volumes. I know for a fact they say it in volume 6 explicitly, but yeah, Oscar is 14 at this time. Every other, like, canon age is just a guess based on how much time must have been passing as the volumes have progressed. So, like, the idea that Weiss is, like, 20. That is based on the fact that she was 17 in Volume 1. They went to school for a year. We had the 6 to 8 month time skip. Volume 4 and 5 take place over the course of like a couple months. Volume 6 is like a week. Then Volume 7 and 8 have like a lot of time passed through montages. So like she has to be at least like 20 or almost 20 at this point. Like she is at least, at the very least 19, more likely 20 as of Volume 9. But that's just a guess based on just the progression of events and how these characters talk about the passage of time as the volumes have progressed. That is not actually canon. And then when it comes to the older characters, it's a complete fucking crapshoot.
Yeah.
Like, Winter is in her 20s-ish.
Winter is both like 20 and in her early 30s at the same time.
Crow is at least 40, most likely.
Has to be at least late 30s.
Because if Yang is at 20 and Raven had her after she graduated Beacon, that would put Crow at least 41. Because Beacon is a 4-year school, 17, 18, 19, 20, 9 months of pregnancy, 21 plus 20 years, so they are at least 41, and that's if they had Yang. I'm saying that as if it's Crow and Raven.
I didn't know you were into that shit, Media. I didn't know you were into that shit.
I mean, I'm all for the Stark orgy, so entire team applies to the whole team. Raven was at least 21 when she had Yang, so she would be at least 41 now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. Again, you know, Miles, like, with his whole I'm not good with timelines thing, and it always keeps biting him all the time that he keeps saying shit like that and doing dumb shit.
But yeah, I think, like, kind of cleaner way to do it would just be to say that the magic that turned Crow into a Crow had to turn Raven into a Raven just because they were twins or something, and Raven didn't actually have all that much to do with Ozpin. That would kind of like remove her having had to work for him and at least be perceived as loyal to him for some period of time. That never gets brought up again.
So like in JJK, where in the laws of JJK, twins are treated as the same entity.
I guess.
Yeah, that's what my mind was going to.
I haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's fun. It's not great, but it's fun.
I'm probably not going to watch it. I don't really like most shonen stuff anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, yeah, the JJK is not going to convince you to like shonen. Like, if you don't already like shonen, you are not going to have a good time with JJK. Like, JJK is a shonen made for people who have already watched, like, a dozen shonen and just want a new twist on the shonen genre. That is who JJK is made for.
Just fair enough. RWBY is the only shonen I watch, and you know what? It's not convincing me to watch more shonen.
I'm not even certain RWBY is really a shonen.
RWBY's
Well, you know what? That's my joke. Is like it's the closest.
It wears the trappings of the shonen. It fights
Yeah.
like the shonen. These can be imitated, however. The other thing that is frustrating is this is the episode where Crow tries to recruit huntsmen and doesn't find a single one.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Which is kind of a good scene, actually.
Well, everybody I know is dead, so I guess go to Plan B. What was his Plan B, by the way?
He didn't have one.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Because this was Plan B. Plan A was just to get Lionheart and the Council to go along with it and give them huntsmen that were, linked to the Mistral Council. But Lionheart was being a bitch. So Plan B was recruit huntsmen that aren't totally loyal to the Council and get like a suicide squad going. But then that didn't work because they were already dead.
Yeah, they kind of fulfilled the goal a little early.
But the scene where Crow knocks on the person's door and then her fucking daughter answers. Like, does this guy know where mommy is? Crow's like, no, not this again. I already went through this once 10-ish years ago with RWBY and Yang. I ain't doing this again.
Not again.
I like when the huntsman profession is treated seriously. It's just a shame that it's always done in this kind of context and not in the context of actually showing the Grimm as a threat. And we even find out later on that they didn't die because of the Grimm, they died because of Tyrion and Hazel.
Yeah.
Which, oh god, I remember that.
To be fair, that's at least consistent. After all, the Grimm couldn't have possibly killed all of those huntsmen all at the same time,
Someone's got to do the job for them.
And I mean, the profession does actually have to have some modicum of a survival rate in order for anybody to want to do it in the first place. It's a fine line to walk with it, I guess, but...
They make a lot of money.
Bringing Hazel in on the killing of them, I think, was a little bit much, but I could see Tyrion going around and doing it.
Yeah, of course, Tyrion. and he says, "You better love what you do, or why do it?"
Hazel, in this same volume, though, reveals to us why he shouldn't love doing that and why it doesn't make sense that he did. Or rather, yeah, Ozpin reveals it, but who cares? Hazel talking is bad anyway.
So these two plot lines converge because Raven sends Yang and Weiss to Crow. She gives Yang this half-hearted choice, like, oh, you can stay here and I can tell you everything, or you can go to the person you were gonna go to anyway. Yang's plan is just kind of stupid, honestly. Like, she doesn't follow Ruby's trail. She's just like, I'm gonna use this tip that Crow gave me back in Volume 3 to try to, like, find my mom and then have her teleport me to Crow. There is at least a string of logic to it, but at the same time, it's like, kind of like makes Yang's priorities seem a little out of whack.
It does. It makes her look bad.
She tried to kill two birds with one stone.
Because like Coop said, like, she doesn't take advantage of the fact that she's with Raven now, so like she could have gotten answers and then had her teleport to Crow and Ruby, or maybe even like try to convince her to like, hey, you know, at least help me save my sister because I love her, whatever. Also, Weiss never consented to being involved with the bandits. She was trying to get to Winter, and we can't like really get her to Winter, but we can get her to, you know, her trial period best friend. But that's how we get the reunion of Ruby and Yang, and also Ruby and Weiss, who feels left out until Ruby, like, basically demands a hug from her, which is really cute. I like this. I like the scene a lot.
No, it was a sweet moment. I can't argue with that scene is cute. It's sweet. It works. I'm not going to hate everything in this volume. They got some things not wrong, and I would agree they got that scene not wrong.
Yeah, it goes back to, like, Weiss isn't like a party person. As soon as she's in here, she just feels out of place and becomes a bit of a wallflower until her more extroverted friends have to, like, drag her into having fun. I like that. I like that little bit of characterization. It's also kind of consistent with the way she was in, like, Volume 2 and 4, with the way she interacted with everyone during the dance and then the charity ball.
Again, Weiss is the most consistently characterized character in the series, and they definitely understand her very well. They've got a grasp on her compared to the other characters. Yes, they do stay consistent with those things. I mean, honestly, with Nora, they were pretty consistent with her for a very long time too as well, actually. Unfortunately, that went away, which also scares me because I don't want that to happen to Weiss, because it happened to Nora, who was previously pretty much as consistent, so that's a little scary for Weiss. She's a more complex character, so the fact that they've understood her this well so long is a good sign.
Well, yeah, understanding is a big part of that, but it's also just they know what to do with her. Like, they know what they want out of Weiss's character arc, and they actually, like, put in the effort to do that, whereas everyone is like, we don't really know what we want out of the whole Yang and Blake situation. We're just kind of, like, riding by the seat of our pants on that. Same thing with, like, a lot of the Jean stuff. We're like, we kind of just want Jean to be around. We don't really know what to do with him at this point. He doesn't have a semblance yet, so he hasn't just locked into a utilitarian role yet. Then we get the second most pointless episode of the entire series, Rest and Resolutions, the Thanksgiving special.
Hell yeah.
The episode where they spend so much time sitting around a table and talking that they have to move from the first table that they're sitting around and talking to go to the other table, the classic beloved green coffee table, and sit around that table and have a talk. So that's the entire episode, is just talking around one table and then moving to a different room and talking around a different table. RWBY Volume 5, everyone. Enjoy. Oh, and nothing is said the entire time.
And that's the real issue here, is that, like, there's a criticism with certain movies about, like, cafe scenes, you know, quote-unquote cafe scenes, how, like, piece of writing advice is to avoid cafe scenes because it ends up just being two people talking about nothing. But, like, the problem with cafe scenes isn't the sitting around and talking part, it's the about nothing part. That's the problem. Like, you can have great scenes where characters are just sitting around, having dinner or whatever. You can have incredible, like, you can have tension there.
Tarantino.
I don't even think Tarantino's particularly good at it. The one that came to mind was Reservoir Dogs, where it's just a bit of characterization.
That one's good. No, I'm thinking more of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is tense because it's also like a standoff with everyone pointing the guns at each other. Like, that's a great scene.
Still technically in a cafe, though, is my point. They were talking a lot, so, you know.
But, like, you could have, like, the first thing that came to mind was the birthday date in Alia, where, yes, they are sitting around just having lunch on this date, but it's also a show that, like, Alia Alia is getting more comfortable, and she is winning the verbal duel with Masachika at this moment.
Oh, even before that, there's the scene where they all go with the president to like the family restaurant. That's when they basically convince Masachika to join the student council. So that's also very important. It's not about nothing. So yeah, that's definitely, there's a lot going on in those scenes.
Alia has very good dialogue. Like, the character interaction stuff is really strong throughout that whole series. So even though the majority of Alia's scenes are characters sitting around and talking or standing around and talking, it's still fun and interesting because of the like kind of verbal tit for tat that everyone engages in, and the mind games, especially with Yuki, how she is always like playing a different angle. But like here, it's literally just getting everyone's reaction to what happened to everyone else in Volume 4, and none of it is particularly interesting. Like, Weiss is embarrassed about losing control, and then RWBY completely misses the point of Ren's character arc in Volume 4.
I hated that so much.
Yang is showing off her arm and has an arm wrestling contest with Nora.
And sends her through the wall.
Yeah, she rocket punches her through the wall, which is totally cheating, by the way. Like, that's just against the rules in arm wrestling.
I don't think there's any arm wrestling prosthetics moves in real arm wrestling media. I don't think most people do it.
But once again, it's the stupidest things that come into play later, because this establishes that Yang can just disconnect her arm at will, which comes up in the Battle of Haven. Rain having the whole like monologue about how everyone's grown and how cringing at your past self is a sign of growth, but he puts it in a much less intelligent way than how I just did. And then RWBY's like, Rain gets surprisingly deep when he gets talking.
No, he doesn't. The fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. No, he doesn't. I fucking hate that. I hate that she says that. It's like, that's not deep. That's
It's
the
deep
most
to her.
shallow. It's so fucking shallow. Like, he doesn't actually say anything. Like, he says the most basic, boring, run-of-the-mill, cookie cutter, like, look how much we've grown. Oh my goodness, we're not the same people we were before. No goddamn motherfucking shit, dude. Like,
Brent's just reading Facebook posts. That's all
like
it
they're
is.
just like...
Except most of them objectively are.
Well, and the thing is, like, and the other issue with that is, like, dude, you're, like, making this look worse because you're just making it seem like the writers are trying to fucking pat themselves on the back with this shit, you know? That's what it feels like. So I fucking hate that. And the thing that makes it worse is the fact that later on, Emerald basically has a similar kind of speech that she gives about the characters growing, and it's so much better. Even just the fact that it's an outsider doing it instead of Ren doing it makes it a better scene. And it's also better written and it's better voice acted. Like, but yeah, so like just the fact that you have the same scene later, just done way better by a different character, shows you how awful this is here. And it's just so not necessary. That's the other thing. It's like, what is even the point of this? Is your audience so stupid that you think they need to hear this? And then also this isn't even true, most of what you're trying to convince us of? Or is it, are you trying to convince yourselves? Are you guys just like backpedaling and trying to like, you know, stay above water, stay afloat and be like, look, guys, we promise the characters are growing. Look, we're right about this. Please believe us. Like, oh my God, so pathetic. Fucking hate that so much. Yeah, and they bring up the bird thing again. And again, it's so pointless. Like, I think, is it Yang that seems like really angry about, like, a few of them seem like really angry about it.
Yeah, it's Yang. Like, Yang is super pissed about this because, you know, let's not get too crazy on my crazy adventure that I claim to allegedly want.
So fucking stupid. And then there's another thing where Osmond says there is no shame in leaving, only in retreat. Motherfucker, that's the same thing. You're just phrasing it differently.
It's a tactical withdrawal, dude, okay? There's no such thing as retreat.
Like, again, all this shit is like, guys, like, these writers, you're so fucking stupid. Like, stop trying to seem clever. Like, I know that's supposed to seem like a profound statement. And no, it's not a profound statement. You're just retarded because it means the same thing.
I'm not even like super fond of this movie, but like it was done better in Age of Ultron with Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch, when Hawkeye was like, we're in a flying city fighting robots. We're on a team with like a super soldier, a Norse god, a big giant gamma monster, and I'm just a dude with a bow. I am not supposed to be here, but I am because I'm an Avenger. And if you want to just sit and cry, that's fine. You can stay here and we can come back for you later. But if you step out of that door, you're an Avenger too.
Yeah, that's better.
So I'm not even like that fond of that movie. Like, it's my least favorite of the 4 Avengers movies. But that scene did stick with me because, like, yes, like, this is the time, and this isn't even really the time for RWBY characters to be going through this crisis. Because again, with the world that's saying they're the only ones who are like kind of in it, you know, they're the only ones who are available. So like, they don't really have that much of a choice in this instance. It's literally either, you know, do what they can or fucking die. So, you know, it doesn't give them very many options. The actual choice with this was in Volume 4, when Yang could have been like, you know what? I'm gonna just stay home. I'm gonna help around the house. I'm gonna help around Patch. I'm gonna help around Beacon. The big fight against the world-ending conspiracy, that's not my fight. She basically made her choice, though, that, like, she valued RWBY more than anything she had going around in her personal life or anything going on in her little corner of the world that she was familiar with. So that was the choice she made. Weiss could have just swallowed her pride and been basically enslaved by her father, but she chose freedom. She chose her older sister. She chose, like, doing something over that. RWBY didn't have to go to Mistral. She didn't have to put Team Ranger together. She could have left it to Crow and the adults. But no, she felt like she had to do this, that she was at least partially responsible, probably because of the Silver Eye stuff, or just her own innate personality, which was firmly established pretty much from the word go. That was the time to make that choice. Once you make that choice, there's not really any turning back. Now, RWBY, for instance, because RWBY's really solid on this. Even if RWBY was like, no, I've done enough, I'm going to leave this to the adults, this is out of my purview, I'm not ready for this, that's not going to stop Tyrion from coming after her. That's not going to stop Cinder from coming after her. Blake running away to Menagerie isn't stopping Adam from coming after her family, or her friends. For Blake, that choice was made when she left Adam. That was the time to make that choice, to actually, like, fight for the right reasons. Because from that moment on, she was on a crash course with having to confront Adam, even though she never really realized it until it was too late. That was her defining choice. Oscar's was done off screen.
And in lack of context surrounding why he did it.
Like, this is just not really the time to, like, question whether or not they want to continue doing what they were already doing.
Also, Ozpin doesn't even answer their question.
He really doesn't.
Like, fuck off, dude. Come on.
He's still hiding things from them.
He's so bad. He's so bad. And, like, the problem is he's bad, but then the writers don't actually think he's as bad as he actually is. They still want us to feel sorry for him and still want the main characters to listen to him and have some value in what he says. And they still want us, the audience, to have a lot of sympathy for him and listen to him and care about him and want him to win. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not sorry. Like, he's so poorly written. Like, get him the fuck out of here, man. Again, this lack of understanding. They don't understand how they're actually writing their characters. The writers don't realize how much of a villain they've made Ozpin. They don't realize how bad of a person they've made him. And that is extremely frustrating and infuriating to have to go through. No, this guy is such a fucking asshole. Like, and we'll talk about this more in Volume 6, because he starts to get some comeuppance and then it goes away. Like, they were so close, you know, like, this is where that's when they started to get the idea. Yeah, no, we all fucking hate this guy. He's awful. And then they go back and they're like, no, we should feel bad for him. We should
we want you to like this guy.
Yeah. No, why should we like him? Like, give me one reason to like him. I can't think of a single good reason to like the fucker.
I like him for the birds, actually. I feel like the birds thing was a cool thing. I think that was
it's probably one of the best things he's done, honestly. I don't even disagree with you on that.
Yeah, and this further exacerbates the issue, which I can't remember when exactly it was. It had to be earlier on in this volume, like episode 3 or something, when Ozpin's like, yeah, I'm suspicious of Lionheart because he's disobeying the commands I left for him, you know, in case of emergencies or in case of my reported death. So we can't trust him. And then they continue to, like, hammer that point home that they can't rely on Lionheart, that they can't wait for him. They don't have a plan, though. They don't have a plan to, like, gather up any other forces they can. They don't call Team Sun, even though they're supposed to be in this area. They don't call any of the other people that they might know from Mistral. They just had Crow go around and try to put together his squad, and that didn't work out.
They don't even ask Ty for help.
No one was able to. Crow doesn't have the teleportation power. Unless Ty wanted to come along with Yang, there's no way that they could get him involved at this point. He's too far away.
I wonder if it has anything to do with that he's got to, like, stay home and take care of the dog.
That dog's an important companion.
Yeah, why does Y come along with Yang?
Oh, that would have been. Ooh,
It would have been sick to have
would've been
Yang
cool.
punch Y into a fireball. That would have been a pretty cool.
Just fucking throws him at Mercury.
I brought my fire dog.
Yang and Mercury play energy tennis with his Y. Like fucking Zelda. Yang keeps punching his Y, Mercury kicks him back, and they keep going back and forth.
Tai says to Yang, it's dangerous to go alone, takes this, and hands her the dog.
So, they don't have a plan. They're just sitting around waiting for the plot to give them a phone call, which does happen. That is how this ramping up to the climax in a couple episodes. But we still got a few more episodes of them just sitting around.
That fuck ass coffee table.
This is also the same episode where Nora's like, they're birds! Nailed it! And then the villains show up to Raven's hideout because Lionheart told them where it is.
Yeah, terrible OPSEC there, Raven. Good job, idiot, dummy, stupid.
And then that doesn't come back in the next episode. We had to wait like 2 whole weeks to get that followed up on. Because episode 8 is Alone Together, the best of the 14 episodes.
Which one was
Yeah.
this? What
Yes,
happened in
yes.
this one?
So this is the episode where Ilya comes out of the closet and Ruby, Weiss, and Yang have their like heart-to-hearts.
Yang is being an actual sister here, which is nice. Weiss is being such a bro. Like, she makes coffee for everybody. I like the little jokes about, like, I put blasphemous amounts of cream and sugar for you. That is nice. Like, but she's still being a tsundere. Like,
Threatens to dump it on Ruby when Ruby annoys her.
I will pour this on you and it will burn. Like, it's cute, you know?
You are still on a trial period, Ruby. It's
Yeah, this
been
is-
like a year!
I do like how angry and bitter about Blake Yang is. I don't, again, they don't follow up on that, but that's a problem for later on. But at least at this point, it is good that she feels that way. I like how she kind of gets mad, like, don't tell me to calm down. Like, yeah, I don't blame her. I get that she's angry and she deserves to feel that way right now.
Don't ever tell a woman to calm down. Those are like the worst words to say to an angry woman.
Oh yeah, easily the worst. Yeah, it's
Mostly
actually
you just
100%
have
true.
to nod your head and say yes,
Yep.
honey. Of course.
Yep.
Of course, dear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of that's really good. Weiss supporting Yang is so fucking sweet here. Yang assuming Ruby is the first one to talk to her is very, very sweet. I wish she did that in volume 8, but no. The whole scene with Yang and Weiss is so good here. Like, Yang assumes a lot about Weiss's family. Her assuming that Weiss had this big family and a nice life. It's a little fucked, honestly, because she's assuming too much about Weiss, but it does work here and it does play well to things. And I forgot that this was the scene where Weiss finally admitted that her dad only married Willow for the family name on her 10th birthday. Oh my god, dude.
We get the Weiss lore.
Yeah, we get the Weiss lore. That's fantastic. Separate balconies, a glass of wine here, a glass of wine there, a bottle of wine here. Like, I like how, and I love how this whole thing, Weiss is explaining this to Yang, not for pity. She's not actually doing it to get Yang to feel sorry for her, but rather,
It's just a statement of fact.
not that either. She's pointing this out for Blake's sake, because that's what she literally says. She says, like, you didn't know this about me. You don't know what Blake has. So you have the right to be upset, but don't assume you know everything about her or assume you know why she did things, because you thought I was privileged, and look at how fucked up my life was. My life was arguably worse than yours, and you don't even have a mom. I have 0 parents, basically. You at least have 1. She has -1 parent with Jacques, and she has, like, basically no parent with Willow.
This doesn't really hold up that well with what Blake actually does have, however.
No, it doesn't. But fairness, speaking from what Weiss knows,
Yeah.
Weiss is not wrong to act this way. And I think that's fine. Because in fairness, I don't even think the writers here are trying to justify what Blake has done. I think they make the mistake with that in volume 6. We'll get to that. But Weiss doesn't know that. So she's basically saying, let's assume the best because you didn't do that for me, Yang, and look at the shit I went through. That's not the point, but the point is you don't know what burdens Blake has. And it really shows how far Weiss has come, because she was the person who was most standoffish with Blake initially. And now, not even knowing whether Blake deserves this sympathy, which she doesn't actually, but Weiss is assuming that Blake does deserve this level of sympathy and forgiveness. And that's really sweet, and that's very, very powerful for Weiss's character. And it is healthier for Yang at this point to think more that way than it is for her to be angry. So it works on every single possible fucking level. This scene is absolutely fucking fantastic, and I wish it was in a better volume, and I just wish this volume was better and followed up more on this kind of stuff. But that scene is so fucking good.
Then it still like reflects poorly on Blake, because Blake could have told everyone, hey, Adam threatened everyone I love. I have parents. I need to like check in on them. No, I might not be back. Just bye. I just have other priorities, you know?
Hey, I've got this whole other life that I haven't told you guys about. Here's a note that explains it. It would kind of have fixed a whole lot of stuff.
Well, even without that, I get the part of her character where she's a coward and she ran away without telling anybody anything. I'm actually fine with them keeping that because they at least understood that that was wrong of her to do that. Even the writers understood that. The problem is they don't follow up on it when she comes back, because they don't address that in volumes 5 or 6 or any point since then. I'm not saying she shouldn't be forgiven. I'm saying it needs to be addressed, and she needs to feel bad about it, and we need to talk about it, for fuck's sake. That's the issue, is that never happens.
I think they just didn't like her not being there, so now that she is there, everything's totally cool and it doesn't need to be talked about.
If you had friends that did that, like, you would not just let them back into, like, without having the conversation. Like, that's not realistic. Nobody would do that.
Well, if I had a friend that, like, disappeared for some strange reason, I'd probably try to investigate it somehow. As a matter of fact, when I disappeared that one time due to my brain injury, High-Powered here was very stressed over it.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
So we do have a good example of that.
That's
but,
because
like,
you my dog.
Yeah. Not your cat, however. And that's the difference between Blake and I, okay?
You know, and the horse is just sitting there in the corner as they're like, oh yeah, Man's best friend is the horse is like, I helped you conquer all sorts of things, but you forgive me for this dumb dog.
Dog got meat, man. You can't get meat without dog.
Yeah, so it just kind of highlights kind of a problem with the first 2 volumes, which is just that Team RWBY don't really interact much with each other throughout those 2 volumes, because it does like highlight that they don't really know anything about each other, even though they were literally living in the same room for an entire school year. None of them really opened up to each other. None of them really like confided in each other. The only one who did was Yang confiding in Blake about her backstory, and then earlier, Blake confiding in her team about her history with White Fang, and Weiss blabbing to Team Juniper. That would never not be funny to me. I always just want to imagine how that conversation went down. Was Weiss just like having breakfast with Pyrrha and be like, so, did you know Blake is a faunus? No, I did not. Really? Huh. That's so weird.
I don't know. Was it the cat ears?
Whoa!
Yeah.
I didn't notice with my eyes. Why?
Where it's like, oh, that explains the bow twitching.
Yeah, she's got cat ears.
Or the fish bowl full of fish.
The Jean has she does like tuna a lot line.
Yang is like, you can see what I can get her to do with a laser pointer.
Speaking of Blake, she's in this episode too. She gets tied up by a spider faunus whose name is Trifa. Illy comes out of the closet on her, says like, you know, you were too busy wanting to bang Adam that you didn't realize how much I wanted to bang you, and that's why I'm evil now.
The sad fact I always read into that was actually Blake knew Ilya wanted her the whole time and was just kind of soft rejecting her.
She was waiting for the right blonde bimbo to just fall into her lap.
Yeah, Blake was not averse.
And then the hilarious thing in hindsight with post-Bumblebee Blake is that it wasn't because Blake was straight. It's because Ilya is ugly.
Yeah.
Which she is.
Or maybe because she's a bitch, but Blake never, like, disparages her personality. Like, Blake never criticizes her the way she acts, even though she has plenty of ground to stand on that front. No, she never says anything bad about Ilya, which makes me have to assume that it's because she just finds Ilya unattractive.
It's like I said, you got to be pack and rack if you want to slap flaps, you know what I mean? Like, you can't...
The assault on Casa Belladonna begins. The Albane brothers are here for some fuck-ass reason, even though they were trying to be, like, really sneaky with plausible deniability up to this point. I guess they just gave up on that.
They're very loyal to Adam for some strange reason.
But they're not. In that episode that is kind of pointless. They say like, well, we don't know if Adam's the right person to lead us, but he's what we got, so we can try to like use him as much as we can. That never comes into play because at least one of these guys dies and the other one is never seen again after this volume. And the White Fang are also non-existent after this volume. This is the last volume where we see the White Fang. We see Adam in volume 6 and that's it.
Yeah, Adam at that point is just a rogue element, paranoid schizophrenic with a dream and a katana.
Who also happens to be in charge of all of these guys. So I guess him failing to blow up one school was probably enough for them to be like, yeah, forget either that or he just ran off on his own and didn't tell anybody about it. And so they probably were just like looking at each other like, where is our boss?
We do get a little bit of growth from Blake here because she did give Sun the invite to watch her back as she went to meet up with Ilya. Ilya was like, come alone. And Blake was like, I could, or I could not be a retard and get my monkey boyfriend involved.
This is a rare spark of brilliance for Blake.
Rare Blake W. Congrats, you're not an idiot anymore.
It won't happen again, but she used up one of the last 2 brain cells she's got.
She is officially in this volume smarter than Crow.
That's actually pretty easy later on.
I was gonna say that's not that difficult.
It only gets easier, but this is the moment where it happens. Blake sniffs an obvious trap and actually like prepares for it. Meanwhile, Crow senses an obvious trap and fucks his way into it.
Walks right into it.
And then is in denial about it for the next half an episode.
Not only does he look at the rake, he jumps on it and stomps on it.
It's like, I'm going to break that rake with my forehead. You just watch.
The next 2 episodes are also kind of Blake-centric, although episode 9 barely shows any of the fight in the Casa Belladonna. It's mostly Cinder and Raven striking a deal. Perfect storm.
A perfect storm of chaos, and what basically solidified our love for one of the better characters in this series, Dr. Watts.
I would say it's a pretty cool scene if it wasn't for the fact that it's a stupid deal for Raven, at least.
Yeah, like, what was Raven hoping to get out of this?
Yeah, I don't know what this is. Again, Raven's so bad. I do love Watts here, though. Like, well, actually, I was also a doctor, but I have to say the rest of it was spot on. He's such a little shit. I love it. Anytime he opens his mouth, it's great. Like, it's always good when he talks. The rest of it's terrible, but, you know, there is at least Watts doing good shit.
It's a real shame what they did to him in the Justice League movies, but we don't talk about that.
That's not the only shameful thing they've done to him. This is also the episode where Blake freezes Corsic and Fennec, has them completely defenseless, and then she and Gira and Sun then proceed to take about 30 seconds to a minute to just have a whole ass conversation instead of executing either of them. You know, I have already complained about this. It's mind-boggling. But that is in this episode, and it does bring it down just so bad.
Yeah, we get more build up on like Crow and Ozpin knowing that Lionheart is sus and then not doing a goddamn thing about it.
Well, they like the tea too much. He's given them too good of tea. They can't stand not having it.
The episode ends with Blake and Ilya doing the stare down leading into the next episode. I got more to say about the villains. It does take up a good chunk of this episode. Vernal puts on a show to show that she's the Spring Maiden, but then doesn't end up proving anything because she's fucking not. But Cinder falls for it anyway. Cinder altering the deal or going along with Raven's idea for the deal because she has a hate boner for RWBY, who is like 16 and Cinder is like 20 something. It's kind of a weird dynamic. What are you, fucking Slade Wilson? Why do you want to fuck this teenager so bad?
Well, look, I mean, basically the thing with RWBY is that she's prettier at this point, so that does factor in a lot to the calculus there.
Eye for an eye, I guess. But then Watts, of course, like calling her out, and they actually do something with that later on, which is nice. When we did our like 5-hour long episode ranking podcast, which we did with Fat Man Falling right after this volume came out, or shortly after this volume came out, I did have this at the very bottom of my list. It's not at the bottom because they actually like followed through with Watts calling Cinder out on her stupidity. And so it's like Cinder isn't being written stupidly in an out of character way. Her being retarded is just a part of her actual canon characterization.
It's a feature, not a bug.
So she was out of character in the first 3 volumes the whole time.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Watts came up with the plot there, probably.
Yeah. So now this isn't even my, like, bottom 5 worst episodes of this volume.
Yeah, it's not for me either. It's like not great.
Raven's motivation on this is just really stupid. And unlike the whole Cinder Watch thing, they don't do anything to, like, rectify this with Raven's actual, like, motivations or anything. She just wants Salem to leave her alone, so naturally she decides to steal the thing that Salem wants.
Yeah, I'm certain she thought in her head it sounded like a good idea at the time.
And then that brings us to episode 10, True Colors. The big... oh god. This episode opens up with Ruby, Crow, and Oscar/Osmond sitting in the fucking living room talking about the relics and how the cane isn't a relic.
All the theories.
Why does this scene exist?
It's literally looking at the camera and like it's like literally like looking at the audience. It's like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
No
You're
fun
wrong.
for you.
You're wrong. Fuck you.
The cake was a lie, bitch.
The cake was always a lie. The pie's better.
Yeah, yet another scene of Crow and Osmond knowing that Lionheart is sus and not doing anything about it, not warning the kids. They don't talk about it with the kids, even though they should. They should be like, hey, you know, this whole thing is probably gonna end up being a trap, because it is. They just let it play out.
And what a play it was.
Raven visits Lionheart, which is fine. She verifies that Lionheart is a rat. Even though he's a lion faunus, he's still a rat. And Raven is like, no, you did what you should have done. You did what you had to do to survive. I totally understand, like, how terrifying Salem is. And then the rest of the episode is the Belladonna house fight.
Yeah, which is not the best fight. It's not the worst fight. It's below average, but there are worse fight scenes. Oh, by the way, this is the episode where I noticed that the guard girl on the left, really fucking hot. We should have seen more of her. Seriously, go. Yeah, media can confirm she was fucking hot, man.
Talk about the one who's with Callie?
Yeah, fucking hot, dude.
Yep,
It's like
looking at her now.
very noticeably hot, like worth everybody going to check. What's the timestamp?
6:48 is the one I'm looking at.
Left-hand guard girl, if you ever become a real person, DM me, okay?
If you hear the sound of my voice, slide into my join the Discord.
Yes.
Oh yes, that'll go well.
Callie fights Yuma, the bat faunus, who has bat wings growing out of his back, even though that's not how bat wings work.
Don't you mean Batman from the RWBY X Justice League movie?
God, he does have the same fucking power.
The other thing with this, like, Crow realizing that everything is a trap with Lionheart, right? Like, that's obvious that he realizes that. They make it obvious that he realizes that. And
He's
then
kept him in that trap for like a really long time is the thing,
exactly.
too.
And then
For like a whole goddamn month.
and then not doing anything about it and not telling the main characters about it. They know, but like him and Ozpin, again, that's why Ozpin's also awful and why Crow is awful here too. Like Crow, I always make the joke that like, oh, Crow sucks when he stops drinking. No, he actually sucks before he stops drinking because he's drinking all throughout Volume 5 and he's absolute garbage in Volume 5. And let me tell you, he's still pretty bad in Volume 6 and he's still drinking in Volume 6 too. So honestly, I just use that as a joke. It's just after Volume 3 base. I mean, he's really only really good in Volume 3, honestly. And after that, he's pretty crap.
Well, after Volume 6, he becomes boring, which is even worse.
Yeah, but he's bad in Volume 5 and 6, honestly. But yeah, like him and Osmond just walking the main characters into this trap and not even telling them.
Yeah, no game plan, no strategy, just let's hope this all works out.
This is the thing. Why after, again, like, if I'm putting myself in their shoes, I would never listen to Osmond again, even after just this. Much less after everything we learned in Volume 6. But, like, the fact that it's obvious that he knew it was a trap and he just leads us in there and just assuming he knows best and doesn't feel like he needs to tell us that this is a trap. Again, what universe does that make sense in? There was no heterosexual explanation for that making sense. Or gay explanation for it. There's just nothing. It doesn't work.
They won the trap fight, though, so.
Yeah, it all works out. Because the villains are incompetent. Again, biggest complaint is that nothing feels earned. All the heroes' victories are only due to the incompetence of the villains. All the villains' victories are only due to the incompetence of the heroes. And this is another one. I was bringing up Yuma because he gets built up. Like, he's this big, bad, White Fang assassin who, like, killed Gira's messenger. And he's gonna, like, go after Cal Callie, and then he gets beat to death with a tea tray by a 90-pound-year-old woman.
Hey, look, her daughter was being threatened. She had that crazy
You got the
mom
tiger
strength
mom
going.
energy. It was flowing
Yeah.
through her veins.
Callie is never hinted at as being a fighter, and yet she beats this man senseless with a goddamn tea tray. Off screen! Like, he jumps down, chokes this guard out, and then Callie, rushes at him, and then it cuts, and then next time we see him, Callie's dragging his unconscious body into the room that's on fire.
Yeah, because we're like, oh fuck. After that, the cutaway. And it's just
Then we got Blake versus Ilya. It's a fun fight. The creators don't know how night vision works.
As someone who owns night vision,
You don't blend in with the shadows. That doesn't work when night vision is involved. You have to actually blend in with the surroundings, not with just the fact that they are in darkness. But Blake doesn't care. She still lights her house on fire, and then tries to be all indignant about it later on. The White Fang doesn't do this. We did this. Specifically me. I did this. Ilya using the little electric power of her whip to zap the weapon out of Blake's hand is very video gamey. This whole fight is very video gamey, honestly. It's structured like a video game sequence. We get the return of the gunchucks. First time since Volume 3 that they've shown up, and also the last time that they'll ever show up.
I mean, that's why I didn't rate this episode lower, is because at least we got gunchucks.
And Ilya has her awakening, her good guy face turn awakening, because Blake straddles her lap.
That was enough. That got her over the edge. That was the one thing that got her over that hump.
And people want to claim that Ilya isn't a trash character. Her entire motivation is wanting to get fucked by Blake, and then that's it, really.
That's a realistic motive. That's why I made that theory about Oscar and Ozpin and how he got convinced, man. People discount that as a motive, but it's real. It'll make you do stuff.
So yeah, the one Fox brother dies, the other one gets captured, and then all of this apparently convinces the populace of Menagerie to go along with Gira's plan to form a Faunus militia to save Haven Academy.
Everything just sounds so stupid when you say it,
yeah, and they had to get there too. It's like, how did they get there? Did they just
The boat captain. Blake knows the boat captain from Volume 4. She's even like, Son and I know a boat captain who owes us a favor.
I remember we were having debates on the time frame. It's like, okay, well, this sector is like 4 months ahead of in the past in comparison to. It was interesting. It was bad.
Yeah, Blake's plotline exists on a completely different time frame from the other people, and it doesn't do a good job at showing that. It does state it because there's an episode, I think it's again episode 3, where it's like Ozpin's like the full moon is a month away or whatever. We got another month before school is back in session. And then Gira in that same episode is like, we got 3 months before school is in session. They'll make their attack before then. It does establish that the two are on a different timetable, but it's still so poorly paced, poorly implemented. I really think it would have been better to just load up all the Blake stuff in the middle of the volume. Just completely reorganize the scenes to where you have Blake go through her whole arc continuously, and then we go through the rest of the volume continuously. They wanted to break it up, though, but then breaking it up the way they did is why we get shit like the end of episode 7 teasing Cinder finding the bandit camp and then not following up with that until episode 9, or the various scenes of Crow and Ozpin being like, yep, Lionheart sus. Can't do anything about that until episode 11.
That is when the Lionheart trap gets sprung. You gotta wait for him to spring the trap before you can spring your trap of just being better at fighting than him.
Or even Yang and Weiss reunite in episode 4. They're not in episode 5. Because episode 5 is focused a lot on the Blake stuff. On the Blake subplot. Also cuts to Team Ranger and Ozpin. But we don't get a follow-up on Yang, Weiss, and Raven until episode 6. So, there's so many things that are just poorly paced and poorly put together that then leads to a clusterfuck of a volume leading into a complete and utter fucking disaster of a final stretch.
Yeah, here's where it gets
Episode 11, More the Merrier. Quite arguably the worst episode of the volume. It's not the bottom of my list,
This is the bottom for me.
but by God, does this have, like, nothing good in it?
Can I rant real quick? Because I haven't ranted in a while.
Go ahead.
I haven't had a lot to say, I mean, compared to how much I usually have to say this volume, because it's all so bad. It would take too long and it's too difficult to explain all the awfulness, right? And we're already saying other things, and I have so many notes that I have written down that we didn't even go over, which is fine. Like, it's just so much trash, right? But this one I want to talk about because this is the first, and so far, this is the only one that I have in the negative numbers. This one's a -5 out of 100 for me. This is even worse than I remember because every single shot is so bad in this episode. Like Lionheart asking when they came in, why did you bring your weapons? You're asking professional fighters why they're bringing their weapons around when you yourself told them that there's like a constant risk of war and all that kind of shit. What kind of question is that? It's so fucking stupid. RWBY says that they've done stuff that most people would call impossible, but actually, besides her freezing the dragon, so far, no, they haven't done that. She's not even telling the truth there, and that's only because of her silver eyes. That's the only reason she's done anything that's close to impossible, and it's not really considered impossible because I guess not that many people know about it. So yeah, one thing that some people would consider impossible because of her Deus Ex Machina super eyes. Crow telling everyone to stay calm, fucking lame. He has no right to say that here. Again, he led them into a trap without telling them. Fucking bullshit. Cinder has no reason to give up Lionheart as a spy here, also. Why did she just say that he was the spy here? That's so fucking stupid. That doesn't play to her advantage at all. That's only giving them a disadvantage by admitting that he's a spy. That's so fucking dumb. Like, why would she do that? And why would the writers have her do that?
To gloat.
To quote media, why is Cinder? All the dialogue is so lame and cliche. I don't even remember. He said, I'm more than a name. Oh, that's the worst. It's Weiss. It's the worst Weiss line ever. Weiss is never that lame before or after this. Why does she say that? Why do these all sound like bad fighting game intros?
Exactly. I was literally about to say that. Like, this is written, like, I see people post shit from, like, Injustice all the time because that's where I live on the internet, I guess. That's just my internet neighborhood, especially nowadays. And every time I see a fucking clip from Injustice or Mortal Kombat or whatever, I just fucking cringe at the writing. It's so bad. My hot take is that there isn't a single fighting game with a good, like, dialogue writer.
Writer
No,
period.
No. There are plenty, but it varies in a lot of.
I don't know. Tekken's pretty bad. Street Fighter's pretty bad.
Yeah, they're all
Guilty
pretty bad.
Gear would be pretty bad if they ever bothered to dub it.
Anyway, so this is all terrible. Like, Lionheart warning Osktard, like, I don't know who you are. I'm warning you. Like, oh my god, shut up, dude. You're not a threat. And then...
Dude, we're already... The fight's going on. Shut the fuck up.
Oscar does not earn his win against Lionheart at all. Lionheart's just absolutely pathetic. How the fuck did this guy ever become a headmaster? It's so frustrating. Like, this guy's fucking pathetic ass dual disc. Like, dude, Seto Kaiba would have taken Oscar better than this. He would have used Blue Eyes White Dragon and he would have kicked his ass. Like, his dual discs are more powerful than Lionheart's dual disc. It's fucking pathetic. Yeah, Lionheart's unfucking believably lame. Like, the shot of Weiss launching herself, only having Emerald and Ruby, like, that also makes no sense. Like, all the positions of the characters are off. There's no Oscar and Lionheart or Hazel in that shot, even though they should be in that shot. Bringing up Coop again, talking about how Weiss using summoning for everything at this point. She's doing that here, and it's really fucking lame. Like, she doesn't even really fight anymore. She's just a fucking... What's the
She's
thing
like
in...
Seto Kaiba, who summons his monsters using his dual disc.
There you go, actually. Perfect. Fucking perfect. There you go. Yeah. Jean attacking Cinder was so slow motion. Like, dude, she could have just, like, sauntered slowly away from him and killed him so easily. How is Jean even able to survive against Cinder for even 5 seconds? That does not make any sense. And they should all know this. Like, they should be making sure, the main characters should be making sure to get Jean away from Cinder because the power imbalance is that high. And the fact that they're not makes them all incompetent. And it also makes Cinder incompetent for not killing him because he cannot fight her at all. He should be dead immediately.
The only intelligent thing about this whole shebang is Emerald going after Ruby. Because she knows that Ruby Silver Eyes work on Cinder. Ruby doesn't know that. So that is Emerald using the fact that she has more information than the heroes to an advantage to be like, in Emerald's mind, Ruby's the only one who's actually a threat to Cinder, so gotta isolate her and keep her away from Cinder. I don't know why no one else like tries to fight Cinder. No one tries to help Jean, even though he's literally the weakest person and Cinder is literally the strongest villain in this room. Like, they know this. She killed Pyrrha. She has the Fall Maiden. She melted Ozpin. Ozpin knows how fucking powerful she is. He's involved in this fight and he doesn't do anything about it. Like, and it's not just the writing. This is what I want to stress about this stretch. It's not just the writing. It's everything. I highly recommend the Floof Artist video, RWBY Volume 5 is Broken, even though that only scratches the surface. That only really accounts the, like, animation errors and how everyone, like, teleports around and goes in and out of existence depending on the camera angle. No object permanence at all. RWBY is not a high-budget show. Even at its highest budget, at its most commercially successful era, which I would say would be Volume 6, 7, and 8, right? That's probably the one that had the most time as far as, like, actual legit production hours go. But it's everything. It's the sound design, it's the score, it's the voice acting, it's the cinematography, it's the editing, it's the pacing, it's the lighting. Everything about this whole stretch of episodes is bad. And RWBY was never that great when it comes to its production values, but it never had to be great. It was always a small budget show, and it always had this kind of like indie charm to it. The greatest example that will ever exist of this is Who Killed Captain Alex, an indie film from Uganda. When I say indie, I mean that Who Killed Captain Alex reportedly had a budget of $200. It was put together using a Windows XP, like a 2003 computer that someone found in the garbage and refurbished. No one involved in that movie actually got paid to be in that movie. They were just doing it because fuck it, we ball. They were doing it for the love of the game. And that movie, I won't say it's great, but it's fun, it's good, and you know what? It's because the people making it gave a shit. It's because they took their $200 and they milked every last little fucking penny they could out of it. They had, like, legit martial artists that they pulled from their neighborhood to do all the fight choreography. They studied action movies from America in order to, like, figure out how they should frame the stuff the best they could. They used stock footage from the Ugandan Civil War to fill out the action sequences and make it look a lot bigger than what their budget would have ever allowed. Like, they did everything they could to make Who Killed Captain Alex at least a cohesive product. Again, it's kind of laughable in a lot of places, but it's fun and it's notorious online for being as cheap as it is and for being as kind of beloved as it is. Like, it's kind of a beloved cult internet classic at this point. And RWBY Volume 1 could have been in the same category as that. It had a much higher budget than Who Killed Captain Alex, but it still had like a lot of the same charm. It was still like, hey, we're doing what we can with what we got. We don't have the budget for professional voice actresses. We had to loan out Gus's secretary to play one of the four main characters. We had to get the editor of the Achievement Hunter videos to play our main character. We had to get some of the people from Achievement Hunter to fill out the cast. We had to get our community manager to play one of the other four main characters. And we had to like poach talent from the neighborhood on a budget, like Shannon McCormick. But here it's like, there's not an excuse anymore because they've been doing this for 5 volumes now, and yet somehow this is the worst looking the volume ever is because the people involved either didn't give a shit or they weren't allowed to give a shit. And this is where some of the behind-the-scenes bullshittery comes into play. The last 4 podcasts, we've kind of opened up with, like, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff to kind of serve as, like, a backdrop for the volume as we go through our criticisms and go through the events and go through our praises as well. We didn't really do that here because we just jumped right into the character shorts, but this was going on at the same time that Jinlock was in production. And at the time, Rooster Teeth's head of animation, Gray Haddock, who was the head of Rooster Teeth's animation. He was an executive producer on this, as well as all the prior volumes, and I believe Volume 6 he was still involved in as a executive producer, because it didn't really come out until after Volume 6 was on its way or out that people kind of found out that he was effectively sabotaging RWBY, that he was purposely taking the top animators away from RWBY and making them work on Jinlock instead.
You know what? I'm pro Gray Haddock on this one. Gray Haddock was right to do it. He was pursuing his goal. He was doing whatever it was to get his end of the deal. You know, he's awesome. Gray Haddock is the greatest villain of Volume 5, to be certain.
The greatest RWBY villain, and he does also voice one of the greatest RWBY villains. He's also the voice of Torchwick, and he continued to be a villain for the next 3 volumes after that. Specifically the stuff from More the Merrier, like I said, Crow just kind of stumblefucks his way into this trap, and then is all, like, shocked that it's a trap, even though he had been saying it's going to be a trap for the last, 7 episodes. RWBY tries to talk no jutsu Raven, and it doesn't work. And apparently Cinder was just waiting there with a fireball, waiting for Raven to open up the portal so she could just hurl it through the portal. And she just kind of got lucky that she hit RWBY in that instance. Hazel doesn't want to be here. Neither do I. Cinder is such a fucking cunt. She's like, who are you again?
That was actually kind of funny. What's even the point of stabbing Weiss? Like, does anybody really think she's in danger of dying?
No, it's such a fucking stupid bait.
It's so dumb.
Stupid cliffhanger. Because it basically just confirmed what Jean's semblance was going to be before it actually happened.
Which was the lay on hands spell from World of Warcraft.
Yeah, pretty much.
My boy, the paladin.
I mean, he is a paladin.
He's got paladin armor. Yeah, that's true. Kind of useless like a paladin, neither here nor there.
Whoa there.
I was a paladin main. Fuck off.
I was a ret paladin, the most useless of all paladins until...
Oh, Jesus. Ret pally. Oh my god, you were extra useless. Holy shit.
Jean tripping over himself when he tries to stab Cinder instead of actually, swinging for her neck.
It's all so lame. There's nothing good in this fight. There's nothing good.
I don't know why Cinder targeted Weiss, and also the shot with Weiss and the spear going through her. There's, 4 characters who should be in the shot that just don't exist in this shot.
Spoof artists just with the chalkboard and all the strings and pictures going crazy.
It's just so obvious. They don't do anything to hide it. It's just everything about this episode in particular is egregious with it. It continues to be egregious throughout the entire Battle of Haven, but the other episodes for the Battle of Haven have cool shit in there, sprinkled in, like little golden flakes on a pile of turds. But this doesn't have anything. This has nothing. This has nothing of value. It's just all bullshit. It all sucks from beginning to end. There isn't a single cool moment in this episode. The closest thing to a cool moment is Cinder being a jackass. Cinder just being such a fucking bitch to Jean for no goddamn reason. She's not gaining anything from this. She is literally just wasting her time punking this poor boy.
And also, this kind of leads to them losing, too.
Yeah.
She fucked up pretty badly.
Cinder's just fucking around too much.
Yeah.
That takes us to episode 12, Vault of the Spring Maiden. An almost equally bad episode with some things that are even worse, but it's got some cool shit in it too.
Yeah, this one has some redeeming factors. This one is a 2 out of 10 for me. Everyone freezing here after Weiss gets stabbed is dumb. I mean, they do that a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Lionheart taking that huge of a tumble after Oscar gives him such a weak hit is really, really lame. Why doesn't Hazel just take his jacket off? I don't understand that.
Just have the guns out.
Yeah, Osmond tells Oscar to run. But to where, motherfucker? Where's he supposed to go right now? Why does Yang not do anything when she first sees them opening the vault? She just kind of stands there. Even Nora calls attention to her hesitation, so that shows you how dumb it really is. Jean saying, Ren, talk to me. Ren, this is bad. Yeah, thanks, bro. Really fucking helpful. Could Shannon McCormick be delivering his lines as Ozpin with any less urgency here? His voice acting performance is absolute garbage throughout this entire time. It sounds incredibly phoned in. Shannon McCormick does a good job at other times, so I'm gonna blame Carrie here for the direction issues. Hazel's motivations, again, very lame. We've talked about that. Floof artist, again, pointing out a lot of blocking issues. You can watch his video for that. Hazel holding Ozpin responsible for his sister is just really fucking stupid, man. It's just...
Hazel's entire motivation is just dog shit.
I hate Ozpin so much, but Hazel is also fucking brain dead for blaming Ozpin for it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Or just not necessarily that he blames Ozpin. That could work, but the fact that he is responding to that by working for Salem.
The Grim Queen. The queen of the things that killed his sister. That queen.
The fact that Weiss is the person that Jean saves and the fact that she is the reason Jean unlocks his semblance, that's actually good. I like both of those things. So that's one of the things that kind of save this episode. Thematically, that's smart. Again, fucking White Knight, I ship it. Let's go. That's endgame. Again, the fact that Vernal talks about her tribe when we don't see any kids or families in this tribe. It's just a bunch of pathetic loser bandits that aren't even threatening. Like, the bandit tribe is so fucking lame. We talked about that, but we didn't talk enough about how pathetic and lame the Bronwyn tribe is. Like, how are we ever supposed to see them as a threat? They're fucking pathetic, man. They're just scummy asshole bandits. Like, yeah, family. Fuck off, dude. That doesn't, there's no families there. Shut the fuck up. How can we sympathize with that at all? Why even bother bringing that up? It's, come on. Like, writers, dude, just a tiny bit of effort, please. Why does Crow move so slowly here in his fight versus his fight against Winter? Like, he's so quick when he's fighting Winter, but here in this fight, he's so slow. Why? What's going on, guys? Why does Nora not run over to Weiss or Yang immediately, but then later is in the background with Weiss? Another, again, huge blocking issue. Why are Jean's hands not connected to Weiss? This one bothers me a lot. RWBY literally picks his hands up off of Weiss as he's using his magic hands to save Weiss's life. And RWBY's response to that is to pick up his hands and take them off of her. What the fuck?
And then says, whatever you do, don't stop, which has been in every single RWBY smut fic I've ever read.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's fair enough to the doujinshi writers. Why does she say that here? Cinder's Grimarm reveal is actually not the worst here. RWBY saying I'm angry here instead of saying like I'm mad or pissed or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Or RWBY
angry
just
doesn't
drop, like RWBY swears or drops
here.
a slur. She could have done that.
She needs the
That'd be
cuts
nice.
again. This whole not cursing thing is fucking stupid.
Cinder getting punked by Raven with the fucking Phantom Menace plot twist.
Alrighty, I'm gonna have to bounce out though. I gotta go to bed. I got work and shit tomorrow.
All right, take care, man, dude.
Yeah, glad you could
All right.
join us.
Great having you again.
Yeah, missed you,
again,
man.
glad you could
Glad
join
to be
us, dude.
back.
Yeah, take care.
Raven being the maiden is a choice, I guess. I don't hate it.
There's dumber things they've done. I don't even really have time to complain about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It wasn't really that big a twist. It didn't really
No.
affect all that much. Like,
No, it does call into question, like, how did Crow and Lionheart, who knew the previous Spring Maiden, like, does Vernal just bear a striking resemblance to the previous Spring Maiden? Is that why? How did they not know that something was up when Vernal showed up? Or did they, and they just didn't do anything about it like they did with everything else in this volume?
that's also a possibility. It could be
Yeah.
that Crow knew that Raven was the Spring Maiden this whole time.
High possibility, in fact.
Or knew because he knew that Vernal wasn't. God, I fucking hate that Crow struggles against Lionheart in the background here, when we literally just saw Lionheart getting beat senseless by a 14-year-old who had never been in a fight. No, most of my issues with this, writing-wise at least, stem from the fact that Hazel is a fuck-ass. He just sucks. He sucks a lot, and he's the main focus of this episode. That's kind of about it. You know, the Hazel fight portion of the Battle of Haven, and then the Raven Maiden reveal. Jean semblance, I like it too.
It's fine. It's a cheap way to get out of killing people, but like, fuck. They were probably going to find some other cheap way anyway, so it's not.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, they probably planned for Jean semblance to be this long before they planned on having it activate around Weiss. So it's like, okay, how do we reveal this semblance? Well, we had to put someone in mortal danger.
Saving the woman's life, that doesn't get any response from her. Once you grow a beard, though, all of a sudden she's all about it. This goes to show you that you should never trust women, guys.
Weiss likes what she likes. But no, like, this does actually, like, change the dynamic. Like, this actually does influence the way Weiss and Jean interact from here on out, because Weiss is a lot softer around him after this. She's much more about, being his friend. Jean was put on a trial period and graduated from the trial period before RWBY did.
That is true.
I mean, it's kind of hard to keep someone like that at arm's length when they saved your life.
So then, episode 13, Downfall, the episode that broke me.
Oh no. The title is apt.
Yeah, this one's pretty bad. The Weiss and Jean interaction is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Nora actually, defending the two of them when she realizes he unlocked his semblance and stuff. That's not bad either. I think that's the only compliments I have for this episode, though.
Her throwing Hazel around is pretty dope.
Her saying, I don't need him to hurt, I just need him to go down.
It's cringe.
This is where we need some fucking cursing, for fuck's sake. Again, I've said this before. People, they're fighting for their lives. They would curse. I can promise you, people much younger than them. I mean, I talked like a sailor starting when I was like 10 years old, And I was one of the better behaved kids at my school. Like, I never got in trouble, and I still fucking cussed like a sailor. And that was pretty normal, okay? Like, it's very unrealistic to have... This world does not have Christianity in it, okay? So fuck off. There's no reason to not be cursing. It's very frustrating when, like, you're in the heat of the moment doing something, like, to speak that lame is very fucking stupid. The revealing of the White Fang here, also really fucking lame.
Oh, and then Blake fucking shows up.
Yeah, Blake showing up. Michael's, who's usually a very good voice actor, his delivery here is awful. That's why she didn't come alone. Like, oh my god, it also sounds like a fighting character intro. What the fuck direction were you doing here, Carrie, in the voice booth, man? This is really fucking bad. Like, again, this is the voice actor who usually I really, really like his work, and his delivery here is garbage. Like, you guys couldn't give him better direction here?
Even he gets better off than Adam. I am making humanity pay for what they've done!
Well, he's always been bad. That's the thing, is Adam's voice actor is trash. Sorry, whoever you are.
Yeah.
You suck at voice acting.
Garrett Hunter, I think is his name.
Why are there not more White Fang soldiers if Adam is now the new high leader?
Oh yeah, there's like 7. Fucking Sun could have taken them all on by himself. They didn't need the Faunus Militia to help.
Yeah, and why are there fucking cops showing up? Of all the fucking times that we have never seen, like barely ever seen cops, we have cops showing up now. Then of course we have the infamous Blake teleporting into Adam's sword, so then she can just do an overhand two-hand chop to take him out, and apparently that's enough to take him out. Oh my, it's just so retarded.
That's the scene that like pissed me off so much. I made a whole video just about that while I was preparing for the podcast.
Yeah.
Me a double time. All right, I see you.
Yeah, beating Adam of all guys so extremely easily was a choice of
It really fucking undercuts everything in Volume 6. Because he's the big bad in that volume. Or one of the big bads.
kind of.
But he's a jobber. He's a jobber in this. But yeah, the whole Faunus Militia, they did not need to show up. I'm counting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 Faunus with Adam.
I don't have time to explain how stupid. I mean, we don't need to explain how stupid that is. We just have to say it, and you'll know that that's idiotic.
Like, if you've watched Volume 5 and you've watched this episode, you know exactly why. If you haven't, why are you watching a podcast reviewing, like, going over Volume 5? What are you doing? Go watch Volume 5. Wait, or don't save yourself, actually.
Or don't, yeah. Save yourself the pain.
Actually, just watch more of this podcast. Just watch it forever. Just listen to it in your dreams.
I take a yo-yo and I start side to side.
Like, comment, subscribe. I think it's hilarious that Blake's plan to stop the White Fang would have completely fucking failed if not for all the forces at play that she had no fucking idea were happening. She had no idea about, like, Cinder's involvement in all this, or that Cinder would strike a deal with Raven in order to, like, try to kill RWBY, and that this would drag out the fight. If Blake was just operating on her own, she would have gotten there too late. Haven would be ashes by the time her and her Faunus Militia showed up. Probably because they took the time to get the police involved. So she lucked out there.
It's hard to discuss this volume. It's so bad that, like, there's no place to, like, interject and have an actual intelligent discussion on it, right? I think hopefully I've noticed that this volume more than ever, this podcast more than ever, there's very little of us replying to each other.
It's just us saying all the stupid shit that happens.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. It's that fucking awful. Volume 6, I'm more looking forward to having the discussion because, one, I think some people might disagree with me saying it sucks, because we used to think it was pretty good, and now I think it sucks. So that's more interesting to talk about. And, like, what is the reason why it's bad? And the reason why Volume 6 is interesting to me is a lot more interesting than why Volume 5 is bad. Volume 5 is bad because literally everything. It's just fundamentally broken in every single level. I mean, there's animation issues, there's blocking issues, there's voice acting issues, there's voice direction issues, there's general direction issues, there are art issues, storytelling issues, obviously, character issues.
It's just a story built around bad ideas. Whereas the other volumes in RWBY are good ideas that are executed to varying degrees of success. This is just a bunch of bad ideas executed poorly. This is the Rise of Skywalker of RWBY volumes. This came out at the same time as Last Jedi, and I remember I was on a stream playing Skyrim with the RWBY mod, using Maiden Hill to one-shot everything in the early game. Because Maiden Hill's fucking OP in that game, in that mod.
Because Nora's busted.
And someone asked me, like, what's worse? RWBY Volume 5 or The Last Jedi? And I said, RWBY Volume 5. Hands down. Last Jedi has, like, good ideas and stuff. Its heart is in the wrong place. I don't like that they decided to have Luke Skywalker go through that arc at all. I just fundamentally disagree with that being something an older Luke Skywalker would have to deal with. I fundamentally disagree with a lot of the decisions made in that movie. I fundamentally disagree with breaking the cast up the way they did and having the two plot lines not connect at all. Like, I just fundamentally disagree with a lot of the stuff in that movie, but, like, it was at least competently made. The actual production values were at least good. Whereas Rise of Skywalker is just fucking clown show. It is just complete and utter nonsense. The only redeeming thing about episode 9 is the fact that it is so unintentionally fucking hilarious. Like, it's just a meme factory. Like, they try to take everything so seriously, but it's so fucking not. It's such an unserious movie, and it's supposed to be, like, the climax, the final installment of the Skywalker saga. We're killing the Emperor for real this time, because fuck Return of the Jedi, I guess. Fucking, I hate the fucking sequel trilogy so much because of that movie. Like, I was on the side of defending Force Awakens. I was even more so on the side of defending Last Jedi. But I can't defend either of those movies, knowing now where it ended up. Whereas, like, I have a hard time defending anything in the earlier volumes of RWBY because all roads end up leading to Volume 5. And even all the good shit that follows Volume 5. Like, I still think Volume 6 is good. Like, I'm still going to be on the side of defending that volume, because I still thoroughly enjoy that volume. I really like Volume 7. I think Volume 8 is even better than Volume 7 in most regards. And we're going to have a lot of praise for Volume 9 as well. But all the praise that I'm going to have for those volumes is all going to have this asterisk attached to it. And that asterisk is Volume 5, because Volume 5 is still canon. Volume 5 happened. Volume 5 still influences things that happen later on in the series. This is the genesis of the entire, like, taking the lamp to Atlas plotline. The things that happen in this volume are the reason why they don't tell Ironwood everything. Because of Lionheart. Because their experience with Lionheart means that they can't fully trust Ironwood with the truth. Because they're afraid that if he learns the truth, he's gonna do the same thing, or even worse, which he does. Like, their fears end up being validated by the end of Volume 8. But it all lumps back with this. Emerald's entire face turn is influenced by this volume. Hazel's entire face turn is influenced by this volume. The whole Adam thing in Volume 6, as much as I like that aspect of Volume 6, it's all undercut by the fact that Adam gets one shot in this volume. Cinder continues to be a presence throughout the whole rest of the series. She's still, like, arguably the actual main villain of the series, even more so than Salem. Salem's like the looming bad. Salem's very much in the same boots as, like, Emperor Palpatine in the original trilogy. You know, she's there, they'll fight her eventually, but she's kind of this more existential threat, whereas Darth Vader was the main threat that the Rebels actually had to face. Cinder is the Darth Vader of this series. But this volume reveals that she is just so fucking stupid that I can't take any of her plans seriously. Even when she's winning, even when she is working with Watts and coming up with a legitimately good counterplan in Volume 8, it still has the asterisk of her being fucking stupid. And it's all because of this volume and the decisions made in this volume from the word go. I did blame Gray Haddock and his production meddling for a lot of the production issues with this, but at the end of the day, the main problem with this was made on day 1, which was the decision to have less action and have less going on while also having more episodes. This volume has 14 episodes plus 3 character shorts. That's a total of 17 things that we are talking about on this podcast. That is more than any other volume. The only one that comes close is Volume 1, but only if you count the 2-parters as 2 individual episodes, which you fucking shouldn't. Those don't count. Jaundice is 1 episode, Forever Fall is 1 episode, Badge and the Burden is 1 episode, Emerald Forest is 1 episode, First Steps is 1 episode, Shiny Beacon is 1 episode. But even if you count those as 2-parters, you'd still be looking at 20 episodes, because you'd have 16 episodes plus the 4 trailers. Whereas this, it's 14 plus the 3.
And they're still longer in total in terms of runtime, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, a lot of the episodes of this are on the shorter side of things. Like, I'm not sure if this is the longest volume. I know it's up there still. It's one of the longer volumes. It was the longest volume up to this point. I think it might have been surpassed by, like, Volume 8. But Volume 8 also had a lot more going on. Whereas this, it's a lot of sitting around and talking. And all the action is backloaded to the end when it's kind of too little too late. Like, even if this was a better fight, even if this was a better sequence, even if this was on par with, like, the Battle of Beacon, which it fucking isn't. Even if this was on the same level as the Battle of Beacon episodes from Volume 3, this would still be the worst volume in RWBY. Because fundamentally, the idea for the plot of this volume is just a bad idea. Which is why, like, even the rewrites and reboots and like fixing RWBY struggled with making something out of Volume 5.
Is there anything good about Volume 5? Let's go with
No.
that.
No.
There's a couple individual good character scenes throughout the volume.
Weiss and Yang together. For the most part, Yang is pretty decent actually here, and then Weiss is pretty good, and that's about it. I can't think of anything else. But mainly that Weiss and Yang scene.
We're not even done talking about this penultimate episode, because, like, another symptom of that problem is Cinder versus Raven.
Yeah.
It's a flashy fight. I can see why people would be hyped about it, but, like, Raven isn't one of our heroes. She's a character who was basically non-existent until last volume. She was a bad guy for this volume, and yet the climax of this volume is these two characters duking it out while all the main characters are upstairs fucking around. This continues to be a problem for the series, and the reason why, like, the Atom fight in Volume 6 still worked despite the inherent issues with this volume and with the following volume. Atom was at least defeated by two of our main characters. You can't say the same for literally any other villain. You can almost say the same thing for Torchwick, but he got eaten by a Grimm. Tyrion has only fought Crow. He fought Team Ranger the one time, but all of his other fights have been with Crow. The big fight with Watts that took him out of commission for a little bit, that was with Ironwood. Hazel fights Rin and Nora. He gets impaled by Weiss. Then he gets off-screen by RWBY, Weiss, and Blake in the final episode of this volume. And then the only other person he fights is Salem. The only person in the main cast who has met Salem and actually, like, fought her is Yang. And it was very briefly in Volume 8. And when I say main cast in that context, I mean the main four girls.
Yeah.
RWBY still has not actually fought Cinder. Still. They've had encounters. Cinder primarily fights Penny and Weiss, with a little bit of Blake thrown in there too, while RWBY is mostly preoccupied with Neo in Volume 8. Which, again, like, it makes sense. So that makes sense from the villain's perspective, but it also, like, robs a lot of the potential weight out of that scene, because, like, none of the actual four main girls fight any of the actual big bads. Weiss, Blake, and Yang have never actually seen Tyrion.
I didn't even realize that until you just said it right now.
Team Ranger has, Penny has, Crow has, but of the four main girls, RWBY's the only one to have ever actually seen Tyrion. Weiss never fights Emerald, despite that being teased in 2 of the openings. And now it's too late because Emerald's gone through her face turn, so they're never gonna fight.
I'm not really so much concerned with the matchups, provided that they, like, have, like, a good explanation as to why they're occurring, you know? And if you can get, like, a cool, interesting fight scene out of it. The teasing in the openings thing, yes, I would prefer if they kind of, like, followed up on that sort of thing, but other than that, I don't really... It's not really too important to me that, you know, we get RWBY versus Cinder or what have you.
I care a ton myself, but I do understand why people would care about that.
It would
And
be
the
a cool
fact that
thing
they
to
have-
have,
And the
yeah.
fact that they've set it up means they should follow up on it. That's the
Yeah.
issue I have with it.
Her and RWBY do seem to be kind of like the opposing forces in a way, thematically, I guess. So it
Yeah.
would make sense if they ever fought each other at some point. I'm wondering if they don't want to, like, blow their load too quick on that, and that's why they held off on it so long, is that they were like, if we put this out, it's got to be something really good at that point.
Hey,
It's
their
gotta-
balls must be so blue at this point, though. I mean, come on. How long have they been waiting? I see what you're saying, but, like,
Yeah.
at this point, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's the only reason I can think for it, not having...
No, I agree. It's the only reason I can think of either. But to me, it doesn't make sense at this point, given how long it's been. I guess if they do it in Volume 10, then I could reasonably take that. But let's be honest, do we really think that's what's going to happen? I don't think so.
Well, I think it kind of would have to, because Cinder is one of the few that are kind of left on Salem's roster now. She's only got her and...
Oh, you're right. Okay. Well, then, yeah, fair
Yep,
enough.
Cinder, Mercury, and Tyrion are the only ones left.
You kind of got to put her up against something.
Any other thoughts on Raven versus Cinder? Anybody who thought Cinder was dead is stupid.
Oh, I wrote that down, too.
No one in anime has ever fallen to their death.
Nobody, no death.
Yeah, that barely ever happens even in Western fiction. That's not even just an anime thing. That's just in general. Come on, guys. Okay, so Episode 14. I have this one. It's still a 4 out of 10, but I do have it significantly better than the previous 3 or 4 episodes even. And that is entirely because of the Yang and Raven scene, which I've already talked about, but I will just say very quickly, I love this interaction between them. I do think it is a very good scene on its own. It's not the best given how poorly Raven has been done and how poorly this is set up, but in fairness, this specific scene is actually good. Yang says, how the Spring Maiden die. She knows that her mom killed the Spring Maiden, so she's asking the right questions, like, are you merciful or are you a survivor? And then she goes, you don't know me. And she Raven gets mad at Yang, saying like, how dare you talk to me that way? You don't even know me. And which is a self-burn, which I love that Yang immediately points out. Yeah, you're right. I don't know you. Like, that is a fucking burn. Because, yeah, Raven's a shitty parent, obviously. She's a deadbeat mom. This conversation is very good. I love the way it ends. I love the way Yang basically knows that her mom is such a selfish, cowardly piece of shit that she would rather put a target on her daughter's back than take the risk herself. And that was her entire strategy for getting the relic. And then it actually works. And it actually makes sense that it does work, by the way. Given Raven's personality, I don't have a problem with this working. It actually makes logical sense for Raven to make this decision. Now, the problem is it doesn't make sense for her to want it in the first place, but that's a different problem. That issue comes from other scenes previous, not this scene itself, right? Yang saying what she says and Raven basically agreeing with that and fucking off because her daughter is correct. That makes sense. And I love that Yang gets what she wants and she breaks down crying immediately because the way she got it was by confirming that her mom doesn't give a fuck about her. That's honestly some of the best writing in RWBY. In the worst volume by far, is that's a pretty complex thing going on, that they have Yang and Raven having a standoff, but also, Yang kind of trying to get her to do the right thing. But then when she realizes she's not going to do the right thing, she convinces her to kind of still do the right thing by appealing to her selfish, shitty nature. And that is heartbreaking for Yang to do that, but it works. I fucking love the layers of that. For RWBY, that's very multifaceted and fairly complex and actually well executed. And it actually hurts when I see it. Like, I love that it actually hits pretty hard every time I see it now, because now I pay attention when the scene comes up, because the first few times I watched it, I have to admit, I never noticed how good the scene was, because the volume overall and everything else going on is just, we've gone through 4 or 5, I mean, a whole volume, but like 5 episodes in a row of just absolute, the worst dredge in the history of storytelling. And then all of a sudden this brilliant scene pops out of nowhere. And it's like, you're so numb to everything that you don't even know this is a great scene. Like, just straight up. Not even just for RWBY. This is a really good scene for fictional storytelling, period. I genuinely think it's very good. I'm not saying it's one of the best ever, but it is very good. Yeah, the rest of it is... Why the White Fangs stop because some spotlights and a few lame fauna show up. That's enough. Blake invoking the cops is also lame. Again, writers, is Blake a left-wing hero or not? Because if she is, she should not be a narc, okay? Again, I'm all for Blake being a left-wing hero. I'm fine with that. But again, this is why Rooster Teeth can't do politics properly, is they can't even make a proper left-wing underclass hero. They can't even do that properly. They still got to make her a narc. Oh my God, you guys are so fucking stupid. Like, why are the cops even here? Like, where were they the whole volume? And now they're here all of a sudden. Why did Crow not think of calling the cops? Fucking so goddamn stupid. And then some other shit that doesn't make any sense. Blake saying she has more important things to deal with makes no fucking sense at all. She tells that to Adam. Bitch, he's the entire reason she even showed up. So no, she doesn't have more important things to deal with. He's the important thing she was here for. Why? This, again, fucking awful writing. That makes me want to fucking kill myself, honestly.
And it also, like, they're trying to give Blake this girl boss moment, but then they half-ass it by not having that be Blake's characterization at all before or after this.
Yeah, Blake's not a girl boss. That's not her personality. The closest thing, honestly, I'd say Nora is the girl boss until they fucking ruined her. That's one of the reasons why I'm mad at them killing Nora's character, because I would say Nora is the girl boss. Because she doesn't even need to draw attention to it. She just owns everything, man. She fucks shit up, doesn't call attention to it, super confident, kicks everyone's ass, takes names, has fun, is chill while doing it. Fucking biggest boss there. What are you talking about? The other thing, then we have a Weiss saying to Blake, I just remember you being more of the quiet one. Bitch, Blake didn't say anything. She talks all the time. Her first line was her saying something when she wasn't asked to say anything. She was never the quiet one. What the fuck are you talking about? Mysterious doesn't mean quiet. That's not the same same thing. Yeah, Blake was originally the mysterious one, but then we get her backstory more than anybody else's first. And she also never shuts the fuck up. So that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Fuck off. Like, who is writing this shit?
The only time she shuts up is in the scene where she just like drops in and then Weiss comments on nothing, basically.
That's so fucking bad. The baddies being defeated here so easily is another major issue.
Lionheart dies, Salem kills him because, you know, professional huntsman on your payroll, that's not useful enough.
I mean, again, there was the one really good scene, but everything else is so bad. I can't even give it a 5 out of 10 because it's tied into so much garbage. And, you know, it's not like the Raven thing ends up going anywhere in the future. So I can't give it more points.
We have Emerald Semblance Awakening. She's able to cast illusions on multiple people now as she chooses big cartoon inflatable version of Salem. She looks goofy as shit.
She just made her blow up doll bigger. That's what she did.
The day is saved. Everyone's fine. Blake reunites with the team, finally, after 2 whole ass volumes of being in a completely different show.
Yeah, basically. Like,
She
one's
was on-
one's
she was on a
Firefly, one's Battleship Galactica or something.
She was on a much worse show for one volume, and then she was on an unfortunately better show for the next volume. Very weird how that happened.
Without improving at all.
I would argue... No, it doesn't improve. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't improve.
That's the thing that always made me laugh, is that, like, Blake's arc in this volume isn't any better than her arc in volume 4. It's just the whole rest of the show is so much worse here than it was in volume 4.
I was going to argue with that, but then I realized that the Faunus recruitment thing, trying to recruit them to go to Mistral in the first place, that doesn't happen until volume 5, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Blake's arc in volume 5 is not actually better than volume 4. Blake herself is dumber in volume 4, but the arc around her is not any better in volume 5, because then her parents get stupider in volume 5 somehow. They're actually not that stupid in volume 4, and then they get stupid in volume 5. Blake herself does improve in volume 5.
And then Osmond's like, we gotta take the lamp to Atlas, that's gonna be the next saga, and they all listen to him.
Well, don't worry, I'll complain about that next podcast.
Then we get a post-credit scene where Raven shows up to Ty, and that doesn't ever come up again. But the real creme de la creme on this is for that Blake reuniting with the team and the team just forgiving her because now she's here and that's all that matters because that's the song that's playing.
Good song. Great song, in fact, actually, I would say, but not good reasoning there at all whatsoever.
Look, you need to have like a cat girl on your team, so if you don't have one, you're basically limping along while you don't. So her just showing up is enough.
Fair. Can't argue with that.
Think of the marketing strategy.
It does bug me, and I literally just thought of this and realized that, like, yeah, this kind of does bug me that Yang is the only one with any kind of beef with Blake over what happened. Weiss and RWBY just kind of instantly forgive her and never bring it up again.
And even she doesn't really have much of a beef with her about it either, even though she should have much more of a beef with her about it. That's a volume 6 problem.
Yeah, so that was volume 5. This is dog shit. Should we do the episode rankings first, or should we talk about, like, the lack of characters who benefit from this?
Let's do the episode ranking first.
Pain Dio. That is my ranking.
So, I have Necessary Sacrifices at the bottom. That's episode 5. And then I have Rest and Resolution, episode 7, the Thanksgiving episode. I called it the Thanksgiving episode, but for those of you who weren't around at that time, Rest and Resolution came out around the same time as Thanksgiving that year. So everyone was like, oh, this is the Thanksgiving special.
And like Thanksgiving, it's the worst holiday and the worst episode.
15th spot is More the Merrier, the first of the Battle of Haven episodes. In the 14th spot, Downfall, the penultimate episode. 13th spot, Volt of the Spring Maiden, which happens in between More the Merrier and Downfall. The 12th spot is Perfect Storm. The 11th spot is Unforeseen Complications, the first of the bad episodes. Then in the 10th spot, I have the Blake character short. Then I have True Colors. In the 9th spot, Known by Its Song. In the 8th spot, the finale, Haven's Fate. In the 7th spot, the first episode, Welcome to Haven. In the 6th spot, Lighting the Fire. That's in the 5th spot. Then in the 4th spot, I have the Yang character short. 3rd spot, I have Dread in the Air. In the 2nd spot, I have Alone Together. And then in the top spot, I have the Weiss character short, which is the only legitimately great thing in this whole 17 video stretch.
Yep. It's the only thing I have above an 8 out of 10. Okay, so I have my very last one. The worst one is The More the Merrier. And then I have Downfall, second to last episode after that. And then I have Necessary Sacrifice. We're still in single digits out of 100, by the way, at this point. Not even at a 1 out of 10. Then Rest and Resolutions. That was still less than a 2 out of 10. Then Vault of the Spring Maiden. Then True Colors. That's episode 10. Then Haven's Fate, the final episode, which again, only really saved by the Yang and Raven scene. Then Known by Its Song, episode 6. We are still below 5 out of 10 here, by the way. I think we finally make it over a 5 out of 10 with the next one, A Perfect Storm, which is barely over a 5 out of 10. Then we have Lighting the Fire, episode 4. Then Welcome to Haven after that, Then Unforeseen Complications. Then it's Yang short, then Blake short, then Dread in the Air, which is the only one in the 7 out of 10 range I have. Then Alone Together, which is an 8.1 out of 10. And then The White Short. The White Short is by far the best thing in this whole run. Very good. Everything else is mostly mid to fucking abhorrent and awful and torturous. And why did we subject ourselves to this?
No character truly benefits from this volume.
No. Who is the least done dirty? Weiss.
The least done dirty would be Weiss, Blake.
Weiss, Yang, and Blake. I would add Yang too, to be honest, which is a weird lineup. Like, obviously, Weiss is best girl. Is easily, we've talked about this. She is definitely the best girl on the show, but it's crazy that Yang and Blake are like actually some of the least damaged by this volume. It's fucking crazy. Because, like, even Ren gets fucked by, like, his terrible exposition.
Ren would actually be in my bottom 3.
Yeah, Ren's really bad here. I was going to say the same thing.
Ren, collectively, all the antagonists, and then Ozpin.
RWBY kind of comes out pretty okay, too.
So I would say that RWBY doesn't come out of it looking worse for wear, but I also think this volume is a massive detriment to her because so much of the way this volume is structured is so antithetical to everything that made RWBY such a good and endearing protagonist in the first 4 volumes. Like the fact that she was the one who would actually do shit and actually like jump in when there was danger afoot. She's the one who tried to 1v1 a Deathstalker in the Emerald Forest during the Players and Pieces fight. She's the one who took it upon herself to try to like fight Torchwick in the very first episode. She's the one who was gonna mail her team to fucking Mountain Glen if they didn't get permission. She's always doing something, except for in this volume when she's just sitting around with everyone else. So yeah, that's all we have for this. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and join us next time when we talk about Volume 6, which... ooh, that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, we'll actually have some discussions on that one.
Yeah, there's actually stuff to talk about with that one.
Thank you all for watching. Bye.
The